I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I got eyes in the back of my head, I'm seeing. Take me for granted and you know I'm leaving. I'ma take what's mine with the webs I'm weaving. I could take this crowd from seeing to believing. Got a taste for blood and my tongue keeps bleeding from the words I spit. So sharp, so freezing, so cold. Behold, frostbite they feeling. I could tear you apart or I could go heal them. Don't believe in fate, don't believe in ceilings. I just need a taste and my mind starts peeling. I don't pace myself, I grind on kneeling. Got lust for change, I just love the feeling. I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. And I ain't gonna give up. Got too little time, I'ma live up. Head down, push forward through the tough times. Cause anything worth doing is a tough climb. Cause I'ma live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I live life for the fight, yeah, I'm here to get it. I got drive, got sight, always have a vision. I go by at night, I be in my feelings. I'ma be fine, need time, and I'll soon be winning. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon. I can feel the blood creeping up from the heathens. Got will, got fight, got pride, got reason. If they wanna go eat, then you know I'm gon' feed them. If you're coming for me, hope you're ready for a demon.
I'd like to welcome you to the House of Thrillers. I'm Scully, the author that reads to you. I read my novels and other works in the public domain and submissions from people like you. So buckle up. It's quite the ride, and we'll see you on the other side. Like to welcome you to the House of Thrillers. I'm your host, Scully, the author that reads to you. Tonight, I'm going to be reading a little screenplay that I wrote many years ago, Laissez, Bon Temps Rouler, or in English, Let the Good Times Roll. I said hey to everybody in chat, but tonight we're going to get right into it. Hey Casper, how you doing? It's Patty Fish, and Meg, and Sean, and Janica, Popcorn, hey Cha. Special guest tonight, the wonderful Izzy Pop, reading the main character of Margie and various people. It's going to be at least a 2-night series, so we'll see how it hold up. Not feeling 100%, so welcome, Marlene. Welcome, Izzy Pop.
Welcome. Sound check.
Check. Think we're sounding good. Everybody, sound check.
Don't get a sound check. Somebody, anybody. Okay, Janica. Good sound.
All right. It's quite a story. Izzy got to read it, and she was pretty amazed by it. But we'll let you be the judge of that. We're on a black screen. We cut to the title, Laissez, Bon Temps Rouler. We fade to the exterior of the Gulf of Mexico at dawn. It's a crane angle looking down on an ugly sheen with oil wells in the distance, where we pan to blazing fires. We cut to title, 7 Deadly Sins. Greed, sloth, gluttony, envy, wrath, pride, and lust. We're in the interior of a diner in the day. Our camera finds an exact replica of a Waffle House. We zoom in on a film production crew preparing to take action. A movie's being made from an event that changed the way the oil company handled the spill. The director, suave, succinct, is talking to Margie Main, the real-life hero of the film. Actress Sylvia Starr, quite famous for her beauty, stands idly by, waiting to take on the role of the protagonist. It's a 2-shot of Margie and the director. The director says, Margie, from a production standpoint, the script is rather womb-like. It's womb-like, Margie. It teeters on a nightmare. We've got all these people confined in a small space, and frankly, I'm getting as cranky as some of the actors. Besides, there's simply too many montages in the script. Everyone knows that Margie is included on the set for the benefit of the director, who at times seems inept. He's needing her input for the fateful night. He looks like Doc from Back to the Future. The director starts snapping around like a mouse spotting cheese. Actresses and actors take positions. Margie studies the scene. It's an angle on Miss Star, beginning recitation. Then, cut, no. Star, it's a voiceover, dear. It's just why I don't like them.
I forgot. I remember now. The scene opens up with Margie thinking about all that bad stuff.
Great. Are we ready now? Remember, Margie's a young girl at 20. She's about 20. She just returned from France. The young woman has been running from her problems, hardly able to find the love she seeks. She's telling the world why she became the way she did, her apathy, how it set her all free. Don't forget, it's in this scene that she sees Gabe's face for the first time, and she knows her world will never be the same. We fade to black. We cut to title December 23rd, 2012, a Sunday. 9 years earlier. The event, white letters on black. We're in the interior of a diner. We close on a booth inside the Waffle House. Two people, young Margie Main, 20, vivacious, witty, an entrepreneur. Michelle Boudreau, 78, a Cajun crawfish farmer man who has been ruined by a denied claim by the oil company. It is obvious they are friends. Around them, the chatter of patrons. And then suddenly we hear,
The night started like every Sunday night at the Waffle House until my friend Boudreau reached down into his duffel bag and pulled out an old Colt 45. There was an expression on the old Cajun's face I had never seen. I asked him what the hell he was getting ready to do, and he said, I'm getting ready to hoe up the place. Not 5 minutes later, we were held captive. The night in question started ordinarily enough. We had shared 10 weeks of lonely, nothing else to do Sunday nights. Yes, the same people Sunday in and Sunday out. I'm binge like when it comes to routine, so I found myself seated amongst them for the 10th Sunday in the road. The Sunday that Boudreaux snapped. Like many who had left Mississippi Gulf Coast after Hurricane Katrina, I left my problems behind. I saw better opportunities and was given the opportunity to work in France, where I studied culinary arts under a famous French chef. Yet, as time went by, a constant force pulled me back home. I longed for the hot, humid summer nights, crawfish parties, and platters of raw oysters. More than anything, I longed for my family.
Margie snapped out of her reverie. Boudreaux wants to talk about her problems. His voice is authentic Cajun, holding the windswept traits of Acadia. Let's hear it, babe. You can't hold the guilt in your whole life.
I can't help it, Boudreaux. I felt terrible for saying goodbye to my mother and father and to my hometown of Long Beach. I became just like everybody else who left. Don't you see? If we would have all stayed, maybe the coast would be better off by now.
That's the human race for you, mon cher. We always think the grass is greener on the other side. Instead, we compound the problems we have with other problems. Now, problems on top of the old.
Come on, Boudreaux. My dad died while I was in France. I never got to say goodbye.
We fade to black. Cut the title, present 2015, white letters on black, interior outside of the courthouse in the day. The camera pans to many different heads bobbing on busy bodies, and in the hallway, the mood is hectic. We suddenly see Margie's point of view through two slits.
So my toe really started upon my return from France, not long before I was getting ready to turn 21, the day I would receive the inheritance my father had left for me. I had every intention of using this money to open my dream restaurant. It seemed I had everything in place, which was a tall order for someone my age. I had even picked out the land and planned on using Boudreaux's grandmother's recipes on my menu. Boudreaux knew I was going to open that restaurant too, and he knew I was depending on that money. I felt I knew this man. I considered him a close friend. I thought I knew him better than anybody, or so I thought.
We fade to the interior of a diner at night. We pick up with the previous conversation, moments before Boudreaux pulls out the old Colt 45. The diner is full of people, approximately 20 people. We leave audience with anxiety as we close on a two-shot of Boudreaux and Margie. Man, don't be so caillou. Sometimes my pad told me I can't go fishing. Then I make a big bobbin. I wonder about you sometimes. You know what I find? Everything is beauty. Your life, my life, everything.
What do you mean?
That means our life stinks, man.
Aw, come on, Boudreaux. Things aren't that bad.
Don't fool yourself, Dad. Everybody is so full of the gumbo yaya.
I guess I didn't catch that in French class.
Tu deux, ten quoi, toi.
Whatever, Boudreaux. Tell me more about your grandmother's recipes.
The old Acadian word for oatmeal is barjal. It comes from the modern word in France from gruel.
I think I'm going to soup that up and put it on the menu. So what's the secret?
The sugar cane's the secret, boo. Maybe a little brown sugar.
Sometimes things are just simple, I guess.
We all ate it as juniors, man. I guess when it comes down to the truth, I got me some kunas in my blood, but even the rich Cardines, they ate the barjal.
So your grandmother taught you all these recipes then?
Mm, sorry.
Each night.
Yeah, you're right. Mama, now that was some Bon Cardine. She take me to the boucherie every year where they slaughtered a hog. Now that was something. And as a junior, I'd wake up every morning to the couscous and put that cream and a little bacon. You talking about some yum yum.
Tell me about the courtillon. I just can't seem to get it right.
Man, the base gotta be strong, man. The fish gotta be fresh. Good juicy yum yum.
What about filet? What's the secret?
You gotta get the good sassafras leaf. Don't be cheap.
And the roux?
Mama's specialty.
I've been trying to perfect it, but it keeps burning.
There's a trick to that, man. I think Emerald says to sip 3 beers while you stir, and then it's ready to go. They are happy, or what appears to be.
Gosh, a dream come true. Everything's so perfect. My restaurant getting ready to open. What more could a person my age ask for, right? Boudreaux, the man that would change my life.
Revolving angle inside the diner. Everyone's going through routines, laughter, sadness, dismay, upbeat. Pitbull's latest mega single plays on the jukebox. We slowly move into Boudreaux, who removes a shiny Colt 45. Shines in the light. Margie is stunned.
How could I have known that Boudreaux would snap that lonely Sunday night? I couldn't. There's no possible way I could have known that he'd be following us around our private lives, planning for this. We hardly realized we were the same people every Sunday, and that was the irony of it. We, as friends and acquaintances, some as lovers, and others making avoidance in spirit but not presence, have been at this Waffle House together long enough to know that there might be secrets among us.
We widen on the entire diner.
At first, when I met Boudreaux, I had no idea he had lost everything that BP had denied in his claim. That, the way of life as he knew it was over. It had taken time for Boudreaux to open up to me, explaining what bothered him. He revealed to me humility.
We dissolve to the exterior of the swamps of Louisiana in a day. It's a montage of Boudreaux in younger years catering to crawfish traps on the Atchafalaya. Hot, beaming sun. The man is tanned. He works feverishly. Boudreaux going over claims with the oil company executive, shaking his head. Boudreaux pleading his case. Boudreaux, dressed and calmly, appearing in court, claim being denied. Downtrodden as he heads into the Waffle House to meet his friend Margie Manning, we cut to the interior of the diner. Our camera catches a glimpse of lonely people on this lonely night.
Upon hearing Boudreaux's story for the first time, I was awestruck. It was heartbreaking what he had told me. I wanted to offer reason for what happened. He was a hard-working man, for Christ's sake. I wanted to believe he would be all right. No, to me, it was nothing short of madness the way BP handled his claim. The plain, simple fact of the matter was, BP was a ruthless, evil giant. Says to us, oh Jesus, come say, come on, he said to me that fateful night, adding, but never like this, man. This is bad. Today's move. I guess I didn't know what that meant. Very, very bad. But I would find out soon enough.
We close on Boudreaux and Margie deep in conversation, extreme close on the 45, reverse angle.
What the hell are you doing with that gun, Boudreaux?
I'm
What? That thing,
Boom, piece of work. Papa gave to me. Look, he was signed by the engraver, L. Kelly, made in 1907. The items are beautiful. The gun is mechanically perfect and has an excellent bore. Margie's astonished.
what's got to be done, Boudreaux?
Everything, say too. Hang in there a sec. Boudreaux rises from the booth, taps the barrel of the gun to his water glass. Attention, everybody. Stay right where you at. Don't move. Nobody takes him serious. They are used to his funny pranks. We see Margie's face conveying seriousness. Quickly, the hostages show concern.
That night we would all face one truth or the other. And there was no one, no SWAT team, no hero of the hour that was going to save us.
Boudreaux forces everyone down into the smoking section. 20 people crammed into 3 booths. Once his posse is secured, we follow Boudreaux to the other side of the building where he spray paints the foyer windows black, thus concealing his position to the outside. From a duffel bag, he removes items and lays them out on the 3 tables: knives, guns, rope, pliers, various items. Hostages are wondering what will happen. They exhibit fright and dismay.
The bottom line was, although we would have ample time to think about our lives that night, we could see nothing save the eerie darkness coming our way.
Time cut. Interior of the diner at night.
Not long after Boudreaux began this remarkable travesty, he started talking about the subject of the seven deadly sins. He touched briefly on Dante's Inferno and other poets I had never heard of. He spoke in generalities. He gave us nothing else, not even Cliff Note versions at this point. To make matters worse, I was conscious of some terrible storm brewing within the Cajun. He said that greed was the mother of all sins.
Angle on Boudreaux sauntering over to the hostages, wielding a gun, daring anyone to challenge him. He floats on Boudreaux. Before the night is over, you're gonna know them all. What they mean, let there too that break the spells, everything.
We were spoken to, preached to for a while, but none of it made sense. In point of fact, I should say we had been picked, or rather predetermined, for lack of a better word, for our lives. Where we went, who we saw, what we did, and where we fit into the community had been under the lamp. We simply had been reduced to a common denominator.
Extreme close up on Boudreaux, his spiraling eyes. Dante Amon V, I think he describes it best. I know this means nothing to you right now. Vous êtes naïf. The old company had no right.
He went on to tell us what had happened, leaving out the blanks my mind could only fill. At great lengths he exposed the vulnerabilities of his claim, and he had been railroaded.
Dis-moi la vérité. There's dead turtles everywhere. Boudreaux removes a small canvas from his bag. There appears to be OC oil attached to it, with a shoe stuck in it. A dead turtle has been painted on the words Va Va la mere be assis.
We would find ourselves in uncharted waters. By morning we would see it. We would see it, he said. It would be there. That sheen would be there. And by night's end, we would doubt it no more.
Quoi faire? OC had no right. Time cut to the interior of the diner at night. About an hour later, my crew watches Boudreaux from Margie's point of view. Boudreaux's become antsy, moves back and forth between tables, checking his accoutrements and weapons.
I looked up at the clock.
It read 11:40 p.m. We close on Margie, distraught, anxiety creeping in.
So it was the time when wanton patrons scuttled in for late night coffees and midnight snacks. Also, my standard departure time. Tonight, I wasn't going anywhere. I looked around the room, saw anxiety, expressions of doubt, and the dull fear of what was happening.
Angle on Boudreaux. Impatient, he marches over to the court of detainees and settles his eyes on Jim Higginbotham, a tall, lanky, and balding man, a local librarian. Higginbotham chews on a piece of bacon, as if it has nothing to do with him. Boudreaux's mood turns to indignation. Monsieur Higginbotham, sin creates to the sin. It endangers the vice la repetition of the same acts. In other words, the sloth can't know the difference between good and evil. That don't matter though. You can't destroy the moral sense of the root. It's all about the attitudes. The sins first came into existence around the 4th century when a man called St. John Cassian spoke about them in conferences. Verse angle Boudreaux, we follow his eyes as he walks over to the smoking section. In Latin, they say Acadia. Alarms, over to the grill, Pichwan, you skinny mullet. You gonna cook up some food, Pichwan. It can start. Botham starts to protest. Boudreaux cuts him off. Incadin, vous priorite. You get them backwards, son. Vous comprenez? Higginbotham turns radish red. His nerves are put on high alert. He trembles. The notification of the moment has stunned him. Ivero, you've hidden devices, which are often disguised by the mask of virtue. We pan to the windows where headlights enter the parking lot. Angle on Chris Stevens, the store manager. He wears the boring uniform, has the short man's complex. Beady eyes, he can stand this nuisance no longer. That's Rick Smith. He's friends with Bill Bass. Angle on Boudreaux. My eye, Monsieur Bass. The police chief. Cool, let me tell you. You gonna for sure let Monsieur Smith we know we mean business. Boudreaux fires the Colt 45. The bullet misses the intruder, who dives for cover and leaves a bullet hole in the window. Angle on Margie, astonished face.
It was a sound I had never heard. I imagined people having to face those things on a daily basis.
We pan out to a two-shot of Margie and Boudreaux.
What the hell is this all about, Boudreaux?
Well, heck, that was crazy. Oh, wait, sorry. 210 gross. Check. 210 gross base, man.
Well, heck, that was crazy, don't you think?
Vous comprenez plus tard.
What will I understand later?
We fade to the time cut in the interior of the diner at night. We see weariness inside the diner. Angle on Margie, lost in thought. We pan out to the court of detainees, all sharing 3 booths. We close on Andy Winter, handsome, a ladies' man.
I had known Andy Winter since the 1st grade. I have to admit he was my first crush. In fact, most of the girls in my hometown had been in love with him at some point. He was cute, his face resembled Brad Pitt, and he was chock full of charisma. Star quarterback, top 10 in his class, Andy Winters, a mother's dream. One drawback, we weren't kids anymore, and I knew that Andy, for the most part, had made bad decisions when it came to women. Present day Andy appeared frayed on the edges, like he couldn't cope. Overall, my childhood friend was a pretty nice guy. He was just attracted to, well, bimbos. And the bimbo he was with that night, she was a queen of all bimbos, Daphne Rose. I even hated her name.
We close on Daphne Rose. Freeze frame.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd have to say that Daphne was barely an 8. She was always dressed to the nines, yet I knew if she neglected her body for a few days, she'd easily be relegated to a 7. I was lucky if I barely made it to the 7th digit on a good night.
Wider angling on lovely couple. We see Andy and Daphne bickering with each other. Neither one of them really wants to be here.
I wondered at that moment if Boudreaux had picked John for my lust. Well, it could be. My subconscious told me. Andy does date all the floozies. In the mire Boudreaux had led me through, it had eluded me that our captor knew their routines by heart. Daphne, in the time she spent away from Andy, and vice versa, from the moment they woke up to the end of their days.
Angle on Boudreaux. He walks rapidly toward the hostages, the weapons precarious. Mademoiselle Rosalie envies votre disparition. He closes on Daphne with an astonished look on her face. She's Medusa. For Boudreaux, her stare doesn't work. L'envie is the human nature. L'exception à la règle. What you think, babe, that don't matter. Mon chat, with you it goes a little deeper. If you don't have what they have, you want them to suffer. What fair? You see, Mademoiselle Rose, that's one thing to be jealous. What you need, three people. But that's something else with l'envie. There you have two. Get some water. Hang on.
Hope everybody's liking this so far.
Yeah, y'all enjoying that out there?
Put
Not
a
much
10
time to
and
chat tonight. Yeah, put a 10 out
put a 10
there.
in the I found Izzy's voice so comforting. I catch myself in the fetal position, sucking my thumb and trying to remember how to pee. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
damn, Stony, that's a voice that influences.
Oh my God. Oh Lord.
Daphne chews on the fingernail. One eye twitches. She fights to sustain the levy, holding her emotion at bay. England Boudreaux weaving a finger in the air. Mais pour vous, it goes a little deeper. For myself, Pisca da la Gata yum yum down by oh. Maybe this has something to do with your mama. Anyways, both envy and jealousy are akin to what they say is called the Schadenfreude. England Lee Cody, old war veteran, throaty voice speaks with vocalizer, cancer survivor. That's only one side of the coin when it comes to her. Young lady, you also suffer from the narcissism. What you don't understand is there are two principles threatening mankind today. First, because you are a narcissist, you think everyone envies you. The Schadenfreude only compounds the problem because you get pleasure from the misfortunes of others. You will become a self-fulfilling prophet. It's a wider angle on the entire crowd. We see brash, spaced out looks on everyone's faces. That might be helpful you yet, babe. Coping low in envy can be like coping with anger. May, in the case from you, I think Monsieur Cody may be right, and that may be your problem. Je crois vous avez un sentiment de supériorité.
That means he thinks she's condescending.
You close on Daphne, giving Boudreaux a blank stare. Medusa looking in the mirror. Hang on, Boudreaux. Golly, I think she done put the gree on me. Close on Violet Nike's motherly, somewhat of a rock. Retirement age. She raises a hand in the air. Pan to Boudreaux, spotting her. Oui, Mademoiselle Nike's. Camera widens.
In the book of Genesis, envy is said to be the motivation behind Cain murdering his brother Abel, as Cain envied Abel because God favored Abel's sacrifice over Cain's. The book of Exodus states, "You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife."
Ah, un bonbon catholique. Touché, mademoiselle. Ilya Ve. There are the other opinions, though. In Dante's Inferno, Lapine pour l'envie was to be submerged in freezing water for eternity.
It might behoove you, Daphne, to pay attention to what he is saying. I mean, he thinks business. He thinks he means business. You must learn to be humble. Things like kindness and compassion are important when you want to rid yourself of envy.
Angle on Lee Cody turning on his vocalizer. That's true. A person who is humble isn't threatened by the stuff of others. The hostage is all grown in accord. The room falls silent. We widen our angle on Boudreaux. We see the crowd arguing. The truly kind don't harbor no resentment. Ne me déplaît pas, in place for the happiness. No les réalisations. Many people look to Margie for a translation. She just raises her shoulders, acknowledging that she has no clue. Fade to black. Cut the title, Mademoiselle Envy, white letters on black. Interior of the diner an hour later. It's after a round of coffees. You can't help but wonder if the Stockholm syndrome hasn't taken hold. Some of them have slipped into gregarious roles. Shock, dismay, acquiescence all around. We see all of this through Margie's point of view. She turns toward Boudreaux, who paces anxiously.
It was plain to see that Daphne had never dealt with the like of Michel Boudreaux or anyone close to him.
Close on Boudreaux. Margie strains her eyes. She sees he's about to say something. Mademoiselle Rose, l'envie is the sin of the flesh. Front and center, monsieur. We zoom out to a two-shot of Boudreaux and Daphne. As Boudreaux grabs her by the shirt tail, drags her to a booth in his camp. Reverse angle, Boudreaux's point of view. Looking back at hostages and then swish panning to Daphne. You gonna start a little group. Higginbotham for sure gonna join you later. Angle on Daphne and Boudreaux.
You're not going to kill me, are you?
That will be up to you, boo. Et peut-être le jury. How you call in English, man?
Possibly the jury, Boudreaux.
It's later, the evening has progressed. Hostages have become fearful. Some wonder what might happen next. Margie is certainly caught up in her reverie.
Generally, Boudreaux would enter the Waffle House with that joker's sneer, all cracked up to the left, jolly as a button, spouting off expressions and expletives I had never heard. He said things like, "What time it is?" and "Where you at, Maine?" He said that life was short and you had to live like there was no tomorrow. When I think about all the Southern men I've dated, I'd have to say that my father would have been my ideal companion. He was charming, and I was his little girl. Maybe it was my trip to France that tore his heart apart. I was a baby bird fleeing the nest. He was a compassionate father letting go. But there's only so much you can do for your kids, right? Well, little did I know, I had been running from something my whole life, and Paris was the finish line.
Mademoiselle Rose, kindness is the act of being, how you call me? Compatissant?
It means compassionate.
Yeah, you're right. Compassionate. It is the goodness, monsieur, there too.
He means virtue.
Daphne begins to say something. She's cut off. I know something about you, monsieur, that nobody knows. And this secret's gonna come out before the night is over. Smash cut to the interior of the diner. Suddenly in Higginbotham's world. From Higginbotham's point of view, we see food burning on the grill. Sweat drips onto the griddle and sears. Ça va, Higginbotham? I got me an envie for some of those waffles. You making crab meat au gratons or what? I'm going as fast as I can, sir. I didn't get much sleep last night. My chagrin may fade up if that's what you think. Our camera widens to accommodate Higginbotham. Black smoke comes off the grill. Boudreaux moves in the frame. We watch in slow motion. Boudreaux coaxes Higginbotham further, and like a jockey on his horse leads the sloth to the finish line. Smash cut to the interior of the diner. We now fast forward to hostages eating, enjoying their meals. Angle on Boudreaux finishing his plate, pushing it forward. Takes a good look around, then stands to make an announcement. It's time to batten down the hatches, lâche pas la patate, and lock the back door. I know how it works.
Boudreaux started talking without being consumed with pride. Something about fading with greens and being cut down like grass.
Inscribed in ancient times, the Oracle of Delphi, the Oracle of Delphi. Know thyself, know follows closely behind the knowledge of God. And the self-knowledge for everyone means the knowledge of sin. We are all sinners. We don't mind as long as the sins are nameless and faceless. When we name a sin found in ourselves by grace, it is though we are confronted in the back alleys of our souls. A vector for thief saboteurs and muggers who seek to prevent the union with God. We dissolve to the exterior of the day, Mississippi Gulf Coast. Crane angle pans across the sky past the University of Southern Mississippi. We zoom on fringed oak tree, old oak tree, big and strong. Swish up to the sky and down to the beautiful homes.
In Long Beach, Amos Guidry was rumored to be one of the richest men in town. Although he held no political office, word had it that his hands were bathed in malfeasance. A smorgasbord of hearsay flooded the city about him on a daily basis. Yet no one could say for sure how Guidry had made his fortune. The general consensus: old money. We all knew that Guidry lived in the big beach house lining Highway 90, a property covered in crepe myrtle, bottle brush, sago palms, and ancient oaks that had stood the test of time. Guidry's transportation, an old beat-up Chevy truck. He could be seen driving periodically to the dump. If not, the man simply walked from point A to B, be it a city function or a social gathering. Amos Guidry could be seen hiking up from the distance, subtly throwing himself into the fray, where he would bicker points like a hag trading spells. The man seemed to live off a retirement nobody understood. While there were people who said otherwise, there were many that placed his net worth at over $10 million. Some said even more, and most agreed at least $1 million or $2 million. I myself speculated on his treasure. Ironically, there was no evidence of the life of luxury except for the house. No pertinent details anywhere. A very strange man, I thought. It didn't surprise me when Boudreaux singled him out of the crowd, announcing,
Cut to the interior of the diner at night. Angle on Amos Guidry. Middle-aged, dressed simple, t-shirt and slacks. An ordinary guy, or so we think, is nothing of the sort. He is rich and everybody knows it. A mystery, this man. Avarice, Monsieur Guidry. That means you got the greed in your blood. We freeze frame on a Rolex on Guidry's arm. Margie's point of view honing in on the watch.
I thought about the rumors encircling Guidry. I wondered how true they were. I had a different version of what went on here. First of all, you had to understand there were a bunch of aldermen running around the city acting like they owned it, when in truth no ordinance, decree, or, or regulation got passed unless some matriarch said so. It was also what had kept Long Beach from letting anyone put them on the map. But Amos Guidry, he seemed to fit the mold, or was the mold, or perhaps the ringleaders. Now, this brings me to the part of the story about the fallout of the Walmart deal. Why, today it sits in past Christian, one city over, and not Long Beach. How this deal was brokered unsuccessfully by someone in the city, the coup de grace being that the man was Amos Guidry. You see, the Walmart deal would have established a strong tax base for Long Beach, which would have put money into the city's coffers, which would have filled the piggy banks of some awfully voracious people. It was also the reason no street projects had been completed. In most cases, like I said, hearsay prevailed, and because of this, I didn't want to put too much stock into what I had heard. But the big rumor, the Walmart deal, having all to do with Guidry.
Angle on Boudreaux, shaking his head. Greed, Monsieur Guidry, it'll get you every time. Angle on Guidry, dry gulping several knots. He tries to appear as if this turn of events, by royal rights, excludes him. Front and center, Monsieur. Angle on Margie becoming spellbound. Avarice, Monsieur Guidry, is greed. And to break this vice, you're gonna need a generosité and possibly sympathie des jurys. Amos Guidry looks at Boudreaux and raises one eyebrow, as if he's formulating a verbal assault, his rebuttal. Into view, Boudreaux, greed is made of the yuck. Monsieur Guidry, now embrace my chew and take a seat. I'm fixing to teach y'all something. Amos Guidry takes a seat, but then, what's the point of all this? The point, Pichwank, is you need to shut the hell up and pay attention before I blow your damn head off. Amos Guidry quickly finds himself in a predicament. It's like one big audience which can't wait to hear more. La vie n'est pas une question d'argent. It ain't about you playing bourrée all day, son. La generosité means giving the people credit when they earn it. It means getting rid of them expectations, partner. For sure, greed wants the fair share or even more. I've given back to the community. They know that, Pichwank. But what they don't know is how much you gained. Guidry stares at Boudreaux like he knows zip about this addendum. His complexion turns to a deeper shade of red. Boudreaux encourages Guidry to prepare for the confession de culpabilité, to which Margie translates
His admission of guilt.
Guidry seems to fall ill. Boudreaux asks him if he wants a Coke. Guidry says no. Do you want to put the other music and stuff on for a minute? We'll stop this.
How about that? Are you talking? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll just play a little bit so people don't get too bored.
All right.
So you got that, okay. Mais c'est tout. Over there, then with Mademoiselle Rose and Monsieur Higginbottom. We pan out as Amos Guidry joins the other sinners. Monsieur Guidry, that nice dame you had kicked out of her house because of the Walmart deal, simply unacceptable.
With that, the old Cajun shook his head and told us the story. And a candy-ass story it was. Guidry meeting with said owner, a really nice lady, who had lived in the house for decades. Something about Guidry's niece really liking the house. Yes, the niece thought it was cute and she wanted to start a family in it. They'd paid top dollar. Of course, Guidry having failed to mention the fact that he needed the property in order to fulfill an emergency exit order required by the city, which would have sealed the deal for a clandestine few, chiefly among them himself, and no intention of this fact ever coming to light. Yes, booting this woman out of her home should have meant a fortune.
We close on Boudreaux. None of that mattered, though, did it? Greed done got you that time. Again, the house, the missing link in your chain. You stopped to the dirtiest measures. Getting that nice lady kicked out for not paying her taxes. Trumped up charge that's appeared mysteriously on the city books. Angle on Guidry. He falls limp. No 4-leaf clovers to bail him out. But then there was a problem. Yeah, everybody got greedy, and the deal fell through the cracks. Don't worry, mon ami. You will have a chance to redeem yourself. There are worse crimes here tonight. It's midnight. The condensation on the windows has suddenly lit up blue. The police have arrived. Each passing second, the lights become brighter. The diner's phone rings. Boudreaux picks it up. Don't even think about it. You know, that place is wide to the hilt. That's right, partner. It'll blow sky high. Set up a direct line. As soon as I got something to say, I'll pick up. Till then, no funny business. Boudreaux slams down the phone. We match cut to a waitress, Jazzy, dropping a pot of coffee. Angle Lee Cody, frustrated. Does anybody know what the rest of the sins actually are? Why?
He's covered sloth. He's covered envy. He's covered greed. So there are 4 more.
Slight beat as everyone waits for someone to reveal the rest. Dax Hartley, brass, balding, pot-bellied, gray-haired, vacuum cleaner salesman. Well, what the hell are they?
Look, Max, we're in enough trouble already. You need to watch your mouth.
What the hell are you talking about, lady?
The word hell, Dax.
The word
Lust and
hell,
pride.
Dax. Sorry.
That was my line.
Yeah, it was Margie's line. Oh my
You don't
goodness. Thank
sound
you,
like
Sable. Thank you,
the
Sean.
word
Thank you,
hell.
Sable.
The word hell, Dax. Lust and pride, and of course, wrath and gluttony.
Dax Hartley stares at Violet Nikke as if she's a rube. Close on Margie, freeze frame, incredulous. Back to real. Go ahead, sorry.
Coincidentally, I wanted to say that I didn't realize the 10th week held such special meaning. Not until I read Dante's Inferno later. Afterwards, it dawned on me why Boudreaux had chosen this particular Sunday. According to ancient scholars, the number 10 was the perfect number. And it's true. Dante created the perfect geometrical poem. Although I think you could spend a lifetime analyzing the Divine Comedy as it is known in some circles. But there was a second thing going on, wasn't there? In the process, we had forgotten what it was 2 days before Christmas, the day Christ was born, the day God gave to the world new hope. I suddenly wondered what that meant.
Dissolved to the interior of the diner later, we find Boudreaux on the phone with the police. No, that's not gonna work. I said, no, buddy. That spells no. Well, you even think about that, then everybody's gonna die. Those sudden moves, and I mean it. The old Cajun bangs the receiver back to its cradle, this time breaking off a piece of plastic which flies through the air.
There was so much irony that night, I felt we waded in it, the undertow of reason pulling us into uncharted waters. No, we were none of us. Oh, no, we were none of us here by choice. That much was obvious. Between the melee and the revelation of Guidry's life, our simple sloth Higginbotham, and of course Daphne Rose, aka Madame Envy, we found ourselves being dragged down by an unknown force. In some back corner of my mind, a place where I understood fiction. Envy's face kept reappearing, and with that thought came the pull that brought me under. My reasons gravitated to this enchantress, Daphne Rose. I felt sorry for her in more ways than you can imagine. Whatever she did, it must have been bad, or else Boudreaux wouldn't have singled her out. I guess the old Cajun knew something we didn't. My focus fell back on Boudreaux. There's no way you'd do something like this in your right mind, not if it wasn't for a good reason. There has to be a decent outcome. We're innocent people, aren't we, Boudreaux? No, it can't be, old man. You're always so kind and courteous.
We see the camera revolve away from Margie as the song ends her soliloquy. Freeze frame on Dax Hartley. Monsieur Hartley, pride often gets in the way. The room comes back to life as Dax Hartley's nerves are put on high alert. Everyone offers cold stares. Bangle on Violet kneecaps.
I warned you, Dax.
That's enough, mademoiselle. A dark silence fills the room, and then we see ourselves as we are and not comparing ourselves to others. That is humility. Pride and vanity are competitive, monsieur. It's like this. If someone's pride bothers you, you got a lot of pride. You must travel in la veine de humilité, and that will set you free.
I realized that Boudreaux, whom I thought I knew, who was keeping the local police at bay, had an ironclad plan. The man was suddenly like this jack-in-the-box put on high alert. I didn't like the feeling it gave me. Yes, I said to myself, I'm getting it, Boudreaux, but I don't know if I like it. No, I was not able to put a finger on the precise thing that bothered me. I wondered whether there was something I had forgotten over those 10 weeks. Somehow I knew that bad things were about to happen.
We fade to a time cut. Later, a long shot in the entire diner. We push in, we see Boudreaux yet again on the phone, displaying indignation. Margie appears to be in a daze. She's honing in on the condensation on the window. The windows seem to take a life of their own, as if they have become an organism that breathes a wet heat. Its malicious glands salivating at the thought that these people might succumb to the evil it represents. Boudreaux's aggravated, glowering from his skin. He ambles over to the sinners. We close in on Violet Nikes. She stands, looks as if she has had enough of this.
Max, you've always been a bully. You never gave anyone credit for anything.
Our camera widens. We see the entire crowd. Man from the group, Gerald Allen, 52 and washed up, a has-been, stands up and sends a death ray in Dax Hartley's direction. That bastard's kid, he's the one that ruined my son Gabe's life. I was going to get his ass. I've been coming here every week with you guys. He doesn't seem to even remember a damn thing of my kid.
What happened?
Bastard made it sound like a freak accident. That's what happened. He did it for his kid. I believed him.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. Max's boy was always getting into trouble.
Is that a fact?
Affirmative. Some bitch's kid, the cocksucker that vandalized the church.
A few off-the-wall statements materialize. Rumors of further misdeeds. I just can't believe this.
Like father, like son.
Well, what happened to your boy, Gerald?
We used to live down here, my wife and I. We raised the kids here. That was before she got sick. But we moved away, and I tried to forget about it. Tried to put it out of my mind, you know. Thought it would go away. Did. But my kid, he was devastated. I had to see his face every day because of the accident. He never got to play the Little League Championship. It broke his little heart. Gabe was basically ruined. Most of his face burned up anyway. Didn't hardly have a chance. It took years for the real pain to go away, including the mental and the physical. He's learned to live with the complications. His eyes never healed, though.
You mean he's blind?
My kid will never be the same. He'll never see another sunset. Then my wife died.
What happened to her?
Breast cancer.
Well, how did the accident happen, Mr. Allen?
Gabe was intensive care for 14 weeks. Died twice, you know. They brought him back each time. It was like God wanted him to live. It was like God wanted him. But you see, it was the devastation of not being able to play in the championship that really broke his heart. You can imagine how important that was to an 11-year-old boy. Anyway, that crazy Hartley family lived down the street. Their son was always getting into trouble, like you guys said.
But what did Dax's son do to
They
Gabe?
were playing with some gas. Dax Jr. found some old cans in the woods, the old metal kind, you know. Always thought it would be a good idea to make Molotov cocktails out of them. Well, Dax's boy kept egging my little Gabe on, telling him he should try it. Gabe said no, he didn't want to. And some of the other kids got called off by their parents. But Gabe stayed behind. That's when the punk ended up making him do it, and then it blew up in his face. Mr. Allen seems to be hiding something. Close on Lee Cody, switching on his voice box.
But that's not the real story, is it?
He switches it off. It's not the real story at all. My kid didn't give me that version until later, after his mother died. He said Dax's boy lit one of those cans and threw it right in his face, like it was some big joke. Can you believe that? It nearly blew Gabe's head off. To this day, I don't know what the Hartley's kid said to my son. Probably he cut him up into a million pieces if he ever breathed a word.
Was Dax Jr. on the other team?
No, they played on the same team.
So how's your son now?
Live. We switched pan to the other side of the diner. Other side of the diner. Where Dax Hartley's chewed up in conversation with Jim Higginbotham, Daphne Rose, and Amos Guidry. Dax Hartley seems to understand that something is up. We push in on his gameful eye.
But there was something else. What did Mr. Allen mean when he said he was going to get his ass? I suddenly wondered if Mr. Allen wasn't teamed up with Boudreaux. And I certainly didn't want to leave any options on the table.
We fade to black. Fade in on the interior of the diner. Complacency has set in. It is past everybody's bedtime. We zoom in on Margie.
In any case, the question kept arising in my head. What had caused Boudreaux's mind to go over the edge like this? Financial devastation was one thing, but holding innocent people at bay was another. The most logical explanation: my friend come to the Griddle House in order to fulfill a destiny. But other things started happening, and being the smart person he was, Boudreaux had presumed who would come to know as the sinners. He must have learned a lot of things along the way, things I was never able to find out. How he set it all up, the lengths he went to, learning about our small intentions, our grievances, my grievances, the fact that I was 3 days from receiving my inheritance. I had picked out the land for the restaurant with a promise to the realtor and architect once I had the money. My life was going to change. Officially, I would become an adult. Simple as that. Or so I thought. Whoa. Let me say, whoa, Sally. I had no idea I would become an adult that night. The night Boudreaux snapped, and a real adult at that. Little did I know, we would have made aware of some of the startling facts. He said if we didn't do something about it, the great Mississippi would form a new channel down the Atchafalaya, creating a new delta south of Morgan City. Page 47 at the top. He's muted. Y'all don't want me singing,
Sorry
do you?
about that, guy. Sorry about that.
Okay.
We're gonna skip down to okay. Let me put it this way. All the water is gonna go away from Baton Rouge and New Orleans. As with Morgan City, I got family down there, and they already opened several gates on the Morganza Spillway.
So there it was. I knew I had heard a trace of an accent in Guidry's voice, so slight you'd never notice his Cajun if you hadn't paid attention. Now I really wanted to know what the hell was going on.
Where they have, haven't they, Monsieur Guidry? And many small communities affected, no? Yes, that's true. Transportation by road, rail, sea. Barge would go through a radical change, sedimentation, erosion patterns altered, and the nouveau schemes of floodplains, right, Monsieur Guidry? That's correct. Des salinités des côtières affectant la vie marine. Close on Margie, Maine, freeze frame.
Wait, I thought, what in heaven's name is Guidry doing speaking French?
The plot
thickens.
Reverse angle two-shot of Boudreaux and Amos Guidry. Fisheries, beaches, coastal marshes, nearly everything affected. You would know this, would you not, Monsieur Guidry? Even your name, Monsieur, implies a lot. French from the personnel name based on the Germanic root Wado or to hunt. The name is chiefly associated with the Cajuns in South Louisiana. Descondé from Claude Guidry de Grivois, who arrived in Acadia avant 1671. There's a variant of Guitry based on the personal name composed of the Germanic elements with plus rick or powerful.
I could tell the Guidry wished he had kept his mouth shut. It seemed that Boudreaux knew Guidry's lineage better than he did, but it's Guidry's songs that said it all. I could only guess how Boudreaux knew so much about Amos Guidry and why.
You understand quite well, right, Monsieur Guidry? We pull out, we see the entire crowd.
Do you know all this stuff about the river, Boudreaux?
C'est une longue histoire, Mademoiselle Nicaise. The crowd turns to Marchie May.
He means it's a long story. Can you tell us more? It's really interesting what you have to say.
Close on Marchie May, freeze frame.
We were momentarily lost in our thoughts, like townsfolk getting ready for some big jamboree. True, we were about to cozy in and listen to the rest of Boudreaux's story, but I wondered if we weren't crazy at this point to have empathy. For one, this man was my friend and he was breaking the law. To prove what? I thought. We weren't vigilantes. For all I knew, we had a slayer on our hands. A Cajun of the worst kind.
Thank you. Fade out, black, fade in, interior of the diner. The crowd is fascinated. He's become fascinated by Boudreaux's story. There are many scenarios which could take place if the Mississippi River decides to change her main course to the Atchafalaya. Life as people know it in New Orleans would be over. No doubt about it. It'll affect infrastructure, the offshore oil and gas industry. Where tell them, Monsieur Guidry, fisheries would become altered across the delta. The oysters reefs would die in a short time, which would take years to redo, right? Correct. And the list goes on, does it not, Monsieur Guidry? Oui, il n'est, does it not, Monsieur? Skip down to Margie there. Water would fail to offset the tidal movement of the Gulf.
What page?
52. Down at the bottom, 52. We got about 8 pages to go. Doing pretty well.
Who the hell is this guy? I kept thinking. It's Amos Guidry, for crying out loud. How the heck does he know all of this? And the look on his face, guilty, guilty, guilty. He's done something, and this is part of it. And you're stalling, Boudreaux. I started to wonder if I had a clue about any of these people. Boudreaux, Guidry, Dax Hartley, Mr. Allen, and of course, sitting in the background for the moment like two bottom picks on an American Idol, Daphne Rose and Jim Higginbotham.
Let's see here. Without fresh water, it'll be nearly destroyed. While this is happening, nobody will think of the people. Just imagine the emotional turmoil. The people will lose everything they've worked for.
Okay, enough is enough, Boudreaux. I remember saying to myself, tell us what the hell this is all about. I believe we all thought the same thing. Boudreaux seemed to catch our drift.
Our camera pans out. We see the entire diner. You are among the greedy, mes amis. Everyone, meet Amos Guidry, OC executive, profiteer of millions. Beaucoup de personnel gain. Monsieur Guidry is eaten up with shame. Tell him, Pichon. It's true. I made millions from the oil spill. I helped many people out of business. Put them out of business. I wanted to put a gun in my head, but I was in the pocket of some very important people, if you know what I mean. I feel guilty, I do. But I was warned, you say anything about these denied claims and it'll be over for you. You and your family. I'm sorry, I truly am. I can only take it back. I didn't want to do something. But you didn't, did you? Just a few months back, too. Many claims denied, right, Monsieur? The OC executive looks down in shame. And my claim, right, Monsieur Guidry? The revelation. I didn't make the correlation at first, not until you pulled that gun. You started talking about your claim and how your life was ruined. I thought, oh my God, it's Michel Boudreaux, the one I denied. I ruined his life, and the man's here for restitution. He's gonna kill me for sure. Vous avez pensé de votre kinsman. We close with Marchie Bain, freeze frame.
Now, this was an interesting statement. You've thought about nothing of your kinsman? Not only had Boudreaux found faults in all of his sinners, the main motive was to wreak revenge on this man and to show him he had betrayed his people. Guidry, on all accounts, was guilty. By the look of the OC executive's face, I could see that he knew he was in trouble.
Angle on Boudreaux. From a federal level, tell the jury what will happen, Monsieur Guidry. One can also imagine the impact on the nation. Massive use of federal dollars protecting Louisiana's infrastructure, loss of natural gas, blackouts in the southeast. It goes on and on. Suddenly, it'll cease to function properly.
That was another question. Still, there were worse crimes, I kept thinking. And you grow something with this center too.
On when the door court detainee. Bigger job. Now that breaks the bond. It accepts the natural limits. The old Cajun's eyes laminate on the fast-talking Sam Fletcher. The mooch of the town. Weighs over 300 pounds. Eats like 3 people. Not a lazy man, always seems to have the energy to bamboozle something out of somebody. Our camera zooms in on the spot in front of Sam Fletcher. Several empty plates, a cheap pack of cigarettes, and a Sleeve of Rolaids occupy the table. Cigarette butts fill the ashtray. Ain't one butcher. People temps, Monsieur Fletcher. You ain't nothing but a cheat, and you never done a damn thing to make a difference. You don't do nothing but bum. You pee schwunk and run your babbling mouth. Bunch of mumbo jumbo, that is. Sam Fletcher stops puffing on his cigarette mid-stride. He nearly gags on the smoke. Shock overtakes him. You talking about me? Yeah, you damn right, you. Now stand up, Monsieur. Sam Fletcher can hardly think about standing. He has eaten too much. With no help whatsoever, the behemoth rises half-heartedly, struggling with his weight, suspicious eyes boring into him. No words escape his lips as a bubble of methane gas explodes into the air.
How disgusting.
Mr. Fletcher, you are amongst many who fall victim to gluttony. In fact, there are many roots in the early South. During the Civil War, the entire Deep South's gluttonous soldiers irked President Abraham Lincoln. It also means you can be greedy, sir, or gormandizing, or audacious, or crapulent. Nevertheless, you like to be pampered. Sam Fletcher starts to protest, but he's cut off. Let me just put it this way, sir. Gluttony is not a secret vice. Orson Welles, or take Peter de Vries. Gluttony is an emotional escape, a sign that something is eating us. We continue through Boudreaux's eyes, but now we see through two slits. You are much like the sloth, Monsieur. The greed runs deeper. Peut-être you may suffer in the future from some terrible malady. We close on Sam Fletcher. I don't understand. Aloha, Pa. You have this uncanny capacity to gorge yourself. With the advent of fast food restaurants and drive-through windows, America has become a country of overeaters. What in the medieval times, when the world was a much cooler place, abuse to alcohol meant you were a glutton. In Dante's Inferno, punishment for gluttons was eternal reign. I don't know how this affects me so much. Do I have to join the rest of the sinners? Allons, la penalty for you may come later in life, although I have a suspicion that le jury may have something to say about that. I ain't gonna buy it.
The immediate effects of gluttony may be covered up by digestion, but ultimately is deadly to strength and to virility, resulting in premature death. In other words, Mr. Fletcher, you just can't just eat junk food and expect to live a healthy life. Sometimes, same goes for rich foods. Basically, it boils down to what Boudreaux said, temperance, which breaks the bond, you see. Eating too much of the wrong foods results in your body working overtime. You have to break down what you put in. There's trouble with acid. It makes you thirsty all the time, and sometimes you feel faint.
Engel, Sam Fletcher nodding shamefully.
And in worst cases, you suffer from diarrhea and constipation. Again, Mr. Fletcher, you cannot eat like a hog and expect to lead a healthy life.
We close on Marchie May, obviously overthinking and fretful about what has occurred. Extreme close on Marchie May.
As far as I could tell, Sam Fletcher had no problem accepting what he had heard. He knew he was overweight, and until now had given no regard to healthy consumption. He, clearly, was impetuous when it came to food. But Violet was right. The body couldn't handle these types of heavy ingredients. That Chef Pierre had taught me as well. So we had a fifth victim, gluttony. But wait, I said to myself, what other than his own health could be Fletcher's crime? What was Boudreaux getting at? Was was he just trying to say, hey, take it easy on yourself, treat your body like a temple, eat healthy, live long? To all of us, no. If Sam Fletcher had done something wrong, he too would have to pay.
Fade out, time cut, interior diner at night.
Our sixth victim was actually the store's manager, Chris Stevens. It didn't surprise me, though. The man was about as cocky as they come, a nobody's as tough as me kind of guy. He was short and definitely had the short man's complex. Shoulders carried high, back bowed into a V, unblinking eyes, the traditional flat top hairdo, everything that irked me in a man. Again, I felt Boudreaux had attracted my thoughts.
Angle on Boudreaux. Anger, Monsieur Stevens, will get you to axe every time. We see Chris Stevens, the stocky, short man, gritting his teeth. The tough guy plants his eyes on the old Cajun as we zoom out to a two-shot to include Boudreaux. Well, what the hell's this all about, anyways, old man? Mais jamais de la vie. Sublimation, Pichwan. You gonna find out soon enough. You see, you got the gree in you. Son, no respect at all. To make a point, Boudreaux fires above Chris Stevens' head. The shot reverberates throughout the diner. Deafening blast sends Chris Stevens scurrying backward, feeling at his body for a bullet hole. In fact, everyone dives for cover. Spot off to me one more time, Monsieur Stevens, and that's your ass I'm gonna fill with a hole. Comprenez-vous? Our camera pans to the phone ringing. Boudreaux in the frame to answer. Now don't go get your feathers all ruffled yet. Nobody's hurt. I was just making a point. No, I'll do nothing of the sort. Slams the phone down. He plays on Margie Main, freestyle.
I wondered if things weren't turning into a fiasco. Had I become impatient, exasperated by Boudreaux's plan? Maybe. After all, he had taken us out against our wills. Was he mediating the personality disorders that would have plagued us for years to come? Probably. The fact of the matter, we had our sixth victim, and we were one to go.
Anger is gonna get you one-way ticket to the pen. Kindness, now that will set your heart free. It means taking the tender approach. Anger is often our first retort to the problems we face. To tell the truth, you only see la reflexion of yourself. Now join the other sinners. We fade out to a red screen. We cut the title 1 hour later. Interior of the diner at night. We see the court of detainees in deep discussion. Will the seventh sinner be announced? Some of the group seems worried. One lone man, Harold Wallbanger, has sat silently thus far. His eyes, however, appear mischievous. He cannot see anything otherwise because of his beard. He doesn't appear to be a man that will be accused of lust. Close on Harold Wallbanger. There is one among us a pedophile. There is no disputing this word. It's so close to the English version, nobody had a doubt. We pan out to see the whole group disgusted as Harold Wallbanger extricates himself from the crowd. I see by the look on your faces. Don't be quick to judge. As the Bible says, he without sin, let him be the first to cast the stone. Harold's countenance displays guilt. Some are ready to stone this man right then and there. Harold looks as if he knows what he has done. Others start to wonder too. Harold is now an island amongst them. Permettez-moi de vous présenter Harold Waldinger, pédophile extraordinaire. And close on Margie Main, freeze frame.
Although he wore a beard, I could see in his eyes the revelation of the past catching up to him. I had no sympathy for pedophiles. I hated them. I had compassion for all those poor souls whose innocence had been stolen from people like this.
Harold attempts to apologize, to actually apologize.
The nerve of that bastard. All those innocent kids. You sick fuck. Boudreaux, I wanted to scream.
Ain't long Boudreaux. More apologies may be necessary. Monsieur Waldinger, we gonna see. Now, I want you to listen and pay attention. And Premier, don't take it the wrong way. Just sweet sympathy. But what you have done, it is déraisonnable. You are the worst kind of human man there. A bon being. Yes. You made me sick to the stomach. Mais jamais de la vie. Now exclude yourself from the rest of the sinners. Form a group by yourself. We fade to a time cut. Boudreaux's just returned from the bathroom. He obviously has a bladder problem. Daphne escorts him. Through Boudreaux's tired eyes, our camera produces a droopy effect. We see the court of detainees anticipating what he might do. The lever too that breaks the bond of lust is called self-control. Also, Waldinger prevents the pleasure from killing the soul by suffocation. Acadians know all too well that lust is self-destructive. Sex, power, or image can be used in a wrong way, although people tend to get out of control.
But what did Harold do? Tell us, Boudreaux. He's the seventh one? We knew the revelations were soon to come.
Okay. All right. Everybody enjoying the show so far? I'm Scully. This is Live, your host, the author that reads to you. Let's say hey to everybody real quick. I'm going to be pulling up this new overlay that we're going to read the grand finale for. Welcome, Mark. It's great to see you. Let's put the number 10 in the chat if y'all are still here. Hey, Sable. Janica, coffee artist. Them beans, Addy tingles. Sound check. Let's get a sound check. You guys are in for a treat. Oh, I need to pull my mic on up. Check. Sounding good. Okay, let me show you hood time. So we pull up to overlay. Let's see.
Hey, Janica, Froggies, Mark, a coffee artist, 80 pickle in the house. Sable.
Share that. Go full screen.
Phil, Sean.
Okay, that looks good. We got a little bit of new music too tonight.
So,
great to see you, Sean Gorman. Welcome to the show.
Check on my mic. Check. Code check.
Let's see if we can pull this.
Anybody out there? Check. I said check. Janica. Oh, thank you.
Sounds good. Yeah, we've had a lot of people coming in and out, I've seen, and we plan to play the first part we did last week as a precursor to the show tonight, and we're live again. So hope everybody kicks back and enjoys the show tonight. Izzy Pop.
Scully.
Maybe if we have a let's see here. Tingle, tingle, tingle. Let me see. Let's get. I think I had Izzy's link in there earlier. Let me. Izzy Pop. There's your channel.
Yeah, I'm crawling to 1,500. Y'all could help me get there. It'd be great.
That's right.
It'd be my birthday.
What is that static in there? Is that my earphones doing that?
Do y'all hear any static, y'all? I don't hear any.
You don't?
Mm-mm. Audio 5 times 5, Phil said.
I might just be sensitive. And let me get my script pulled up here.
Okay. It's not till April 3rd, Sable, but I'm pushing for a birthday 1,500. Great. Thank you, Mark. They say no static. Okay. So it is your earbuds.
Or my ears.
Yeah, your ears. Probably your head. Thank you, 80.
Let me check one thing while you hang tight.
I'm hanging tight. Is everybody okay tonight? Do I have to sing and dance and do all that stuff? But if I mute and do it, then you'll never know. Scully always leaves us hanging. Y'all's sound is fine, Phil said. It's his earbuds, Phil. He's got cracking and popping in it. It's probably Cheerios or Rice Krispies. Probably not Rice Krispies. Yeah, I got pelted with bananas. Unruly critter. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you live your life with a bunch of damn animals. Y'all could share this out. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. I guess this is the Izzy hour.
We're in the interior of the diner at night. Another round of coffees has been served. Everyone is ramped up, anticipating the revelations. There doesn't seem to be any fear at the moment. The excitement is too much. Looking closely at the sinners, however, reveals a different story. They appear as if they are on death row. Of course, our camera revolves back and forth, a blatant swinging motion. Once on the sinners, once on the court of detainees. Our camera settles majestically on marching men. Her face is glowing and melting as if she is on LSD, finally freezing in a cob flesh.
As I look back at what happened that night, I am haunted by many things. Let's just say it's the evil that leaves me. I do think about where I might be today if I had never crossed Boudreaux's path. But now that I know what I know, in spite of where I am today and what's getting ready to happen, my heart goes out to all those people who got screwed over by the oil company, everyone directly or indirectly related. In fact, the $20 billion originally placed in escrow by OC to handle these claims would scarcely be enough if some hurricane dumped millions of gallons of oil along the Gulf Coast. People would be evacuated from Florida to Texas. The thought of containing the great river, that was another story. I remember what Boudreaux had said one night. We've been trying choo long to keep that river at bay. I guess I didn't know what he meant at the time, and it's true. I looked it up, what Boudreaux said about natural discourse. The revolving theories all state that the whole of Louisiana was once part of the Gulf of Mexico, and most of the state is comprised of sediment from the Mississippi River. It is said the river will always change her course. We'll be ready for this challenge. Will we be ready for this challenge? Regardless, the Mississippi River will create more land, more barrier islands, new channels. It will do all the things that Mother Nature deemed it to do. Not to get off the subject, but here we were with the revelation that 1. Guidry worked for the oil company. 2. He was the one that had denied the Boudreaux claim. 3. He was the one that had kicked the nice lady out of her home. And 4. He was a man who had ruined how many lives we didn't know. To make matters worse, compounding the decisions we'd have to make, we now had a pedophile on our hands. In the least, Guidry would be dealt with. That I knew. But how? I didn't know. I certainly wasn't going to kill him, or anybody for that matter. Not over some damn money. I didn't care if my inheritance was $1 billion. I wasn't taking a life. I suppose this was the question we all was faced with. What Boudreaux was going to do with these sick bastards.
And ladies and gentlemen, we fade to a time cut.
Hey, sunshine.
Exterior of the diner at night. A bout of complacency has reined everyone in. Some are taking cat naps. Margie stares at the bright blue flashing lights that try to penetrate conversation. The opaqueness of the view allows only guesswork at best. Exterior of the parking lot at night. Spectators and police crowd the exterior. There are shouts and people talking above people and several dogs taut on chains. Someone has a bullhorn but has yet to use it. Interior of the diner, we see detainees still in a daze. Our camera closes in on Margie's eyes, alert eyes.
My imagination strove to know how many spectators beheld the abduction we endured. Of course, Boudreaux, having given them little to go on, save for the fact that he would, quote, send us all out in body bags if the police didn't cooperate, maintained his end of the diner. He would not budge an inch. So that's where we were. I think most of us were starting to realize something at that moment. We were preparing ourselves to make decisions that would seal our sinners' fates. Or would we be prepared? And what did that mean? Still, at this point, no one could say for sure if Boudreaux was going to kill anybody. There was always some possibility that maybe even some of them deserved it. But a final verdict at hand, a death penalty, and at our word, Boudreaux executing someone, would that be a fact? Who knows what a man will do when he loses everything? Is he covered by vice or virtue? Has he become spiritual in any spirit of the word?
Angle on Boudreaux. Before you pass the sentences, you must listen to what I have to say about the accused. Any objections? No one says a word. Our camera revolves to Amos Guidry. Okay then, like I said, greed is the mother of all sins. Dante said that the penitence was bound and laid face down on the ground for practicing greedy behavior. Now, Monsieur Guidry, perhaps this would be a bone penance for you.
I think that you're going to get the chance to redeem yourself, though. But that's going to be up to you. Right now, we got more important matters to dispense with. We pan out to see Boudreaux approaching the sinners. He gives them a bright smile and then turns to Chris Stevens, grabbing him on the shoulder. Wrath is rage, and rage is unreasonable. You have many uncontrolled feelings of hatred. Monsieur, those feelings of anger can lead to impatience and revenge. Your ways are selfish, young man, especially when it comes to jealousy, which you haven't found yet because you haven't experienced true love. Chris Stevens, dressed in the Waffle House uniform of a manager, has contempt on his face, much like a ventriloquist dummy. He acts as if nothing Boudreaux says registers or matters. In fact, it appears as if he might lunge at the old Cajun. Seconds pass. Nothing happens. You need to control those emotions, son. Just remember, when the anger is in your heart, everything will bring it out. You must find peace. Monsieur Stevens, then you may have respond with the kindness and patience. Although Chris's face burns with fire, he says nothing, knowing rightly so that he has been whipped, revealed for the person he truly is. The old Cajun steps it up a notch, though. Chris Stevens is shoved backward and nearly falls on his ass. It ain't a matter of trying to hold it in, boo. It's a matter of letting it go. Trust me, it goes away. You just gotta give it time. Did you know that some people enjoy the anger, Monsieur Stevens? What's the heck is supposed to mean? Well, let it come, partner. Even though you feel bad about it later, and you know what I'm talking about. You actually like the power it gives you right now. You can feel the rush. He thumps Chris's head 3 times. You forget all about the bad things, don't you? Boudreaux pounds a closed fist on the side of Chris's skull, pushing him down the aisle. Chris Stevens turns to say something. Boudreaux holsters his weapon and, with the motions of a ferret, boxing Chris Stevens' ears. Monsieur Wrath reduced. The pop of 2 eardrums reverberating throughout the diner. Silence for a moment, yeah. You'll be dizzy for a second, partner. Now straighten yourself up. Chris Stevens turns a sadistic red. He holds his anger in check, though. Stop it. Stop it right now. What the hell are you doing this for? You stop it, Monsieur Stevens. You have the power. What? You want to punch me? Boudreaux sticks out his jaw, daring his victim. Our camera zooms in on Chris Stevens contemplating the punch. He sees Boudreaux grow madder than hell and backs off at the last second. Boudreaux laughs at him. Boudreaux takes a hold of Chris Stevens' throat and drives him back against the wall. We find the barrel of the gun in Chris's mouth. The Colt 45 shining in the light. You're fixing to die, Pichwank.
No!
The old Cajun turns and ganders at Margie as he holds his victim like a rag doll. Boudreaux slowly extricates the weapon. No, why the hell do you have to do that, man? He's angry. He's turning back to Chris Stevens, pointing the gun at his forehead. All the angry people feel their righteousness. They forget everything else. like they're playing a big god. And griddle house managers, they's no different. They intimidate the employees the same way. Now, righteous indignation, it's few and far between. We get a little rage for the right reasons. None of us are truly righteous. All of us do the wrong things now, given to the deadly sins. We are in no position to judge. And the righteous anger implies a kind of judgment, don't you think? Chris Stevens sees his disadvantage. He has no choice but to face it here and now, and nobody's going to save him. Most of the time, our anger is over the craziness of the situations, not to the situation's actual morality. The situation conflicts with our own ideas about what is good, Monsieur, about what is right. You know something, Chris? I see potential in you. One thing to remember, Monsieur, to break this vice, you're going to need to find the act of kindness. Simply as that. Angle on Dax Hartley. So you going to tell me what my problem is then? Pride, Monsieur Hartley, is considered the original sin. Don't at all underestimate your situation, Pichouin. All right, I get it. Y'all are taking his side, aren't you? Sit down, Monsieur Hartley. Let me tell you a joke. This here's a bonbon, too. Pretty well known down in Boudreaux, Louisiana. You see, old Thibodeau, he done died and went to the pearly gates. Well, St. Pete was just waiting for old Thibodeau to get down there. When they met up, St. Pete says, "Oh, Thibodeau, I can't let you pass through the gates till you answer 3 questions." So old Thibodeau says, "All right, go ahead, St. Pete." And St. Pete says, "Okay, first question. How many seconds do they have in a year?" Old Thibodeau, he thinks for a second. Then he says, "Oh, that's easy, St. Pete. They got 12. 12, says St. Pete. Where? January 2nd, February 2nd, March 2nd. St. Pete looks at old Thibodeau and says, "Oh, Thibodeau, that's not what I'm looking for. But I'll let you slide this time." Question number 2. How many days do they have in a week? Old Thibodeau says, "That's easy, St. Pete. They got 2, today and tomorrow." Now, St. Pete, he don't find this funny. He says, "Thibodeau, that's not what I'm looking for. Now, Thibodeau, this last question, you got to get it right. Well, I can't let you pass. Who is our Father?" "Who is our Father?" Old Thibodeau cuts him off real quick and says, "Oh, that's real easy, St. Pete. It's Howard. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." Dax Hartley's bottom lip curls. That's not really funny. You think you done got it all figured out. May I ask you something, Monsieur? I don't see how much of a choice. Lee, if it's like that, it's like that. So tell me, what it is that makes you so special? Dax Hartley fails to retort. Say, Magnifique, you can't answer the question. Come on, boo. Tell me what it is that makes you so damn special. We close on Margie Main, freeze frame.
I could tell that no one had been so forthcoming toward Dax Hartley. He was the type of guy who'd take a dare in a minute and waste no time hurting someone's feelings. A nobody's as good as me kind of guy. A cheater, a fraud, a trickster, slap eaten up with pride. Boudreaux had hit it right on the head. The little weasel was probably raised to be like that. Generation after generation of vanity being passed on to every Hartley male that sprang from the earth. I kept thinking Dux's old man beat him for years.
Angle on Boudreaux. Nothing makes you special, Monsieur Hartley.
What you done did, gonna give it. What did you give a kidney to somebody? Write a book? Tell me, Pishwank, what it is you did. I tell you what you done did. Not a damn bit of good. You managed to put people down your whole life. Nothing but a hick in the woods. What you think? You going somewheres at this rate? You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Angle on Dark, Dax Hartley. What are you talking about? I worked my ass off. Two-shot, Boudreaux and Dax. And you better than everybody else. Shut up, Pishwank. Dax Hartley gazes around the room, blank stares, reflect back at him. Monsieur Hartley, you fail to see the good in mankind. You love yourself, nothing more. Dante's definition was love of self perverted to hatred and contempt for one's neighbor. Lee Cody flips on his voice box. Or take Jacob Biederman's Synodoxus. Pride is the deadliest of all sins, leads directly to damnation. Well, sure. Now, Monsieur Hali, ask Monsieur Allen what he thinks of you. Dax Hartley's point of view. We see the camera pan to a close on Gerald Allen. You don't remember me, do you? Reverse angle. Dax Hartley. Wait, that's right, you bastard. Your boy's the punk that ruined my kid's life, Gabe. You remember? Oh my God, it's you. You remember now, don't you? I didn't make the connection. Of course you didn't. You're so stuck on yourself, you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. Gabe wasn't the same for years until his mama died. Then he changed completely. It is all we can stand. We must leave Mr. Allen to fend for himself as he gathers his anchor. He appears to be confused, like he wants to blow his head off. The man saunters away, leaving everybody in wonder why he hasn't made some attempt to accost Dax Hartley. Nobody says a thing. We close on Margie Main, panting into the tear under her eyes.
Oh, God, I thought as I felt anger rising in me toward Dax Hartley. You had no right, you bastard. You should have taught your kid a lesson, but you didn't. And now this guy, Gerald Allen, is here, and he's going to what? Okay, what is this guy getting ready to do? Shit, he's here to kill Dax.
Smash cut to the interior of the diner at night. The scene is a montage. It opens up of various musical artists. Court of detainees are riding the magic carpet, like in Stephen Wolf's Magic Carpet Ride. Everyone seems to be spaced out on LSD. We see stock footage of the Twilight Zone, heavy in monkey bongos and seesaw piano keys. The stock footage of Grateful Dead performing Twilight Zone with heavy emphasis on monkey bongos again, large blur leading to smoking section at Waffle House. Back to reality, baby.
I kept wondering if a rescue was off the table. It was amazing how I could argue with myself. It's also difficult to say what went on in my mind. Parts of the night were a blur, parts were clear. Yet, in spite of this transparency, I knew that Boudreaux required my patience, and I wanted something as well. I wanted Boudreaux to keep his cool. I didn't want him to kill. Perhaps in his eyes he felt like a martyr. But the truth of the matter was, if this didn't go off without a hitch, he could be known as a mass murderer. I didn't want that to happen. Mr. Allen and Dax Hartley kept their eyes on each other. Boudreaux began to speak of Providence. He brought up Dante again. He spoke about the Renaissance man. He said there was much to learn. We drank more coffee. We talked. We smoked. We had long silences until another hour passed, and then another. Finally, a definitive delirium had set in, and then dawn arrived.
The exterior of the Mississippi Gulf Coast. The sheen Boudreaux spoke about is there. We see a bright orange, glum-looking substance. The Mississippi Sound shines with oil. Our camera moves down the beach to the men in white, collecting samples and carcasses off the beach. The sun is rising. We pan to see that the one man in white finds a dead dolphin. We fade to black. We fade into the interior of the diner. It's dawn. Extreme close-up of Margie May.
Now that I have studied Dante's Inferno, I have another sense of awareness about that night. It may or may not come all too clear, pending the rest of the story. For what it's worth, I'll deliver you to paradise, our paradise, where Beatrice waits Virgil's delivery of Dante. Blind me save for faith in Peter's gate. Our cast had developed, and they were a lonesome group. The Faces of Sin, The Sloth, starring Jim Higginbotham.
Extreme close-up of Jim Higginbotham.
Madame Envy, showcasing Daphne Rose.
Extreme close. Just skip that.
Monsieur Avarice, featuring Amos Guidry. Monsieur Pride, presenting Dax Hartley. Monsieur Gluttony, depicting Sam Fletcher. Monsieur Wrath, performed by Chris Stevens. Monsieur Lust, portrayed by Harold Wallbanger. To know that Boudreaux had done private investigative work on the sinners was beyond my imagination. Why would I have thought such a thing? There was no way I could have known. Scrutinizing their private lives. Still, I felt guilty. Yet at the same time, I was mad. Mad at the thought that maybe Boudreaux had pursued me as well. He left me with the haunting notion that the old Cajun knew something about me, or the people in my life, that I couldn't even understand. Hell, as crazy as it seemed, I had a strong suspicion he was hiding something from me. Maybe he knows something about Dad and Mom, about Dad that Mom didn't tell you about. It could be, I told myself, like maybe Dad had a kid with someone, or maybe Mom had an affair. God, I don't know. I don't want to think about it. I was snapped back to reality by Boudreaux himself, a furious Boudreaux. Evidently, the FBI had arrived. I think they were putting pressure on him. I don't believe Boudreaux was happy about it either. He probably considered the act a breach of contract. I kept thinking about my inheritance too, but that's not what I tried to. But that's not what used to bother me. But that's not what was bothering me. I tried to think back to all those nights we had been here. I could hardly recollect anything. Like part of my brain had been erased. It's right under your nose. What's under my nose? Think. My subconscious told me. What the hell, Boudreaux?
We fade to the exterior of the Mississippi Sound. It's dawn. Sun has made its way further. The sky is lighting up blue. The windows are starting to clear of condensation. The interior of the diner. We see Boudreaux staring at Dax Hartley, angle on Margie Main.
I started thinking about Gerald Allen and his son, about the conceit from which Dax Hartley suffered, how he, in all likelihood, had passed this sorry trait on to his son Dax Jr., who, in all likelihood, had ruined most certainly one life, if not others. I wondered if that was what Boudreaux had meant when he said worst crimes. I also knew with a man like Dax Hartley, you had a stickler.
Swishpan the Boudreaux.
Of course, Boudreaux always seemed to know what I was thinking.
We pull Boudreaux from the far end of the diner. We swishpan over to a waiting crowd, and Boudreaux moves into frame, pissed off look on his face. Let's hear it, Monsieur Hartley. I guess you want me to apologize. No, Monsieur, it's not going to be that easy. Simple sorry not going to do the trick. You must ask for the forgiveness. We close on Gerald Allen looking confused. Pan out to the entire crowd. Boudreaux removes an alternate gun off the table and hands it to Mr. Allen. There you go, Monsieur Allen. You was gonna kill him anyways. Everyone gasps. Mr. Allen stammers as he takes a hold of the weapon. Go on and do it. Tell everybody what you planned. How did you know? That's not important. What's important is you're going to do what you plan to do. Mr. Allen's eyes linger on the pistol. He breathes arduously. You're right. I was going to kill his sorry ass. But how could you have known this? Boudreaux ignores this comment. In some circles, you would have been broken on the wheel, Monsieur Hartley. I think Aquinas says it best. Inordinate self-love is the cause of every sin. The root of the pride is found to consist in man not being in some way subject to God and his rule.
That's true. It's the thin line between righteousness and self-righteousness.
We precisely, pride and vanity refuse the truth about who we have become. They shadow our reality. Of course, with pride, we want to play the big God. With vanity, we become more worried about how we look. It would surprise me, Monsieur Hartley, to know that you spent a great amount of time in the mirror in the bathroom. Where you stay with your career. Nobody's doubting that. Probably with your family too. But you think that gives you the good work ethic, the bon morals. Just in here, boom, and then a bullet hole emerging from the shoulder of Dax Hartley, who has been knocked sideways. Mr. Allen stands holding a smoking gun. Monsieur Pride staggers as he tries to remain standing, but he finds his legs giving way. He falls brusquely to the floor in the fetal position. He is alive, though, holding his shoulder. Nobody moves. Yeah, that's one sick bastard, all right. We're going to be minus one piece of dog dung without him around. Go on, then, finish him off.
No, don't do that.
Pistol shakes violently in Mr. Allen's hand. Because of you, I lost everything. No, please, I'm sorry. You're not sorry. You never been about anything. Your life, it ain't worth a bill of hill beans. Wait, that's about sums it up. Go on and pull that trigger, Monsieur Allen. Get off the pot. Everybody holds their breath. Mr. Allen can hardly function at this point. He begins to hyperventilate, but then manages this. You loser! I had a good life. I did. It drove her crazy. What happened to Gabe? Then she left me, for Christ's sake. Then she came back and then she died. And then my son's face. Oh my God. Out of nowhere, Chris Stevens flies across the room and makes a high tackle on Mr. Allen. Mr. Allen holds on to his aggressor, bringing them both down to the floor. The gun flies loose, scrapes dapperly over the floor. comes to a spinning halt 10 feet from the man. Mr. Allen runs to get free. Chris Stevens holds him back, a rough display of jiu-jitsu. One fist over another, both men peeling each other back. Who would get there first? Chris Stevens is reaching out, Mr. Allen dragging the arm back, a sharp elbow to Mr. Allen's face, an eruption of blood. The weapon now in Chris Stevens' hand, and then boom!
It's Mr. Allen. Look, he's bleeding to death.
Similar cries ring out. Mr. Allen gasps for breath. His words come slowly, pointing in Dax Hartley's direction. I was going to kill you. Wait outside. Blow your brains out. Mr. Allen gurgles blood as he holds his stomach. He is near death. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. It's not good enough. No, please. I'm begging you. You can't die like this. Go to hell. I don't know what to say. I should have taught my kid a lesson. Please forgive me, Mr. Allen. My son could have had a good life. Why did you make your kid so rotten? I was a bad father. Please don't die, Mr. Allen. I need to know that you forgive me. See that something good comes of this. Gerald Allen dies in Dax Hartley's arms. Bullhorn attempts to contact them from the outside. The phone rings off the hook. Bujo rushes over to the dead man. Stupid, Chris, stupid. Now look at what you done. You should have let the matter rest. No, now we got a dead man. Shut up, Peachwonk. You know what, Monsieur Stevens? Everyone can see you're putting on the show. Your co-workers, they hate you. And you think that they're just jealous. Your soul is filled with may you a zealot, boy. In a way, the worst kind. And it don't mean you don't work hard. That means you work harder to make the people think you are more productive. Much like Monsieur Hartley. But in truth, it's just a big booted facade. You see, you lost the sight of your real self a long time ago. I was just trying to save someone from getting killed. Always the point to prove. That it? You see, strong gauge is your, how you call me? La competitivity.
His competitiveness.
Don't misunderstand. There's nothing wrong with playing to win. But if your happiness depends on your victory, knowing your kid is the star on the baseball team, you build a world from illusion. There are ways to overcome this vice, Monsieur Hartley. For one, you must be grateful. That means to everybody you come across. Monsieur Stevens, that means to your staff too. True, certain tasks might be a responsibility of your workers, but treat it like it's special. Develop some genuine enthusiasm. Next time someone encounters you, be grateful to meet them. More than everything, you must be able to experience a lot of humility. As far as your vanity, and this goes to the both of you, you know that the world's not waiting for you twats to get down there. Close on Margie May.
I felt sorry for Dax Hartley. He would be starting his life over, and that was a scary thing. He would have to live with the fact that he had ruined a kid's life. And Chris, I had no idea how he would overcome the horrible truth that someone had died because of him.
Reverse angle on Boudreaux. You schwunks take care of that body. And when you're done, we'll see about that arm, Mansour. Reverse angle.
It was appalling to watch them cover Mr. Allen's body with a tarp they'd found in the back. We, the jury, unknowingly forgave these two sinners, but it wasn't easy. Boudreaux, is it what you said you wanted? Did we do what we were supposed to do, old man? Forgiveness, plain, right out forgiveness? It seemed that Dax and Chris were good to go. But what about Mr. Allen's son, Gabe? What was going to happen to him?
We fade to black. We fade in on the interior of the diner in the morning. We have entered a sort of no man's land. People have jet lag. We think we have climaxed. Want everybody to go home, but Boudreaux gives no one time to rest. He moves toward Daphne Rose. Everyone takes heed. You had a child once, didn't you, mademoiselle? Andy Winter, her faithful lover, looks sick to his stomach. Daphne cringes. Incomprehension, incredulity, definitive guilty conscience. She has a nervous breakdown.
He was so small, and then I didn't know what to do.
Go on, Mademoiselle Rose. Tell them how you were cracked out.
Oh, God, I had a problem. I didn't know what to do. The doctors asked me if I wanted to care for my baby. They said it would be hard. They said I had the choice, and he weighed less than 2 pounds. They said I could withdraw care if I wanted to.
Crack baby? You could have had saved the baby. The drugs, Mademoiselle Rose.
I had a problem. My husband, he was beating me up.
That is no excuse. We always have the choice. As the statement sinks in, Daphne's soul appears to vanish. She opens her mouth to wail, but nothing comes out. Just a black hole in which to look. Extreme close on Daphne's mouth. Do you understand, Mademoiselle Rose? Do you? Angle on Marty Main.
Although a contrite yes would have sufficed, I knew in her mind because I knew in her mind because I'm a woman. It was way more complicated than that. Daphne, right then and there, would have to deal with the fact that she would never see her child again.
Angle on Daphne Rose.
Yes, I do. Oh my God, what have I done?
She falls to her knees, lifts her hands to her face, tilting it downward, weeping uncontrollably.
Poor thing, I didn't
Check. Go back. I think I was getting a glitch. You there? Check Izzy Pop. Check Izzy Pop. Hang on, I'm having a glitch, or you are.
I guess I am. Come back.
You want to go out and come back in?
Hold on.
Hey, Roth Rods, how are you? Good evening, coffee artist. Hey, DC. Welcome. Janica. Sable tingles. Boom, chicka rah. Ska. Check. Ska. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's give Izzy a second to come back. Yeah, we're about to get up to the crazy part here soon. Y'all gonna be like, what? Gonna get wild. It's all roll me. Check, check.
Check, check.
There she is.
Here I am.
Say hey to everybody real quick.
Hey to everybody, real quick. Hey, DC.
I know there's DC. Swampy
Yeah, I had to
and Coffee
remind her.
Artist, Janica, Sable,
Roth
Roth
Rods.
Rods.
Thank you, DC. Thank you, Janica.
Sometimes I gotta have a cigarette to keep my voice a little raspy. But let's see where we were.
Angle on Daphne.
And Angle on Daphne.
Yes, I do. Oh my God, what have I done?
What page is it? Shit, I lost it.
96, you were just there.
96, okay. Oh yeah, she falls to her knees. Okay. All right.
Okay. For a second, I think my mind went blank because out of nowhere appeared a little girl touching Daphne on the shoulder. An angel.
No one sees this but Margie. Margie Ganders looks back. The angel is gone.
It's going to be all right, Daphne.
Boudreaux allows Daphne to wail. Let it all go now, Beb. You're gonna be okay. Silence. Then tears, some people crying, and Andy Winter just sitting there white as a sheet.
I don't know about Andy Winter, but the rest of us forgave her.
We fade to black. Cut the title. The revelation. White letters on black. We fade to the tear of the diner in the day.
I guess you're waiting to hear the worst of it, or maybe you've narrowed it down. If not, the fact of the matter barely touches the fringes of the house of Atreus when it comes to great literature, but it touches these atrocities nonetheless. Now, I'm certainly not trying to compare our hardships to those of others who have undoubtedly suffered poorer fates than ours, but I do believe not one person in the room was ready for what was about to happen. Was Boudreaux a martyr or a madman, with pride or prejudice?
We pulled Boudreaux from the dark hall of the restrooms. He gleams from ear to ear. He is shaved, his hair slicked back, toothpaste around his mouth. Looks like a drill sergeant hopped up on 3 pots of coffee. Point of view of Boudreaux, he moves toward the centers. Christmas is 2 days away, Mayor Me. Not a time for the miracles of new birth. Now, this is what I want you to do. Put this night out of your minds when it's over. Go home and be with your families. Yesterday, you were different people. Remember, the society can be cruel. The corporation's crueler. We, in Mother Nature, cool, let me tell you, the coolest. And I don't forget that the great Mississippi will triumph in the end. But you have a choice today. Each and every one of you make the right decisions. Tonight I leave my legacy and my mark. We hear the sound of a gun cocking. Angle on Margie Main freeze frame.
Why, Boudreaux? I kept thinking to myself, why does it have to end like this? You were my friend, you stupid son of a bitch. You didn't have time to come in here and do this, but you did. And you know what it is? You tough love bastard. Don't do this, please.
The FBI no longer buys my story. Soon they gonna close in. Everyone grows antsy as we pan out to the entire diner. We move in slowly to accommodate Margie once again.
The light turned gray around me, not violet or green or blue or gray. Oh, but gray. The shadow of death in full.
Swish pan the Boudreaux, raising the Colt 45. Monsieur Walbenga, step forward. You admit your crime now. We swish pan to Harold Waldbanger.
That sick pedophile.
Harold Waldbanger saunters forward. At first, he moves toward the center of the room, and then, stopping and turning, he points his face at. We freeze frame on Margie.
He pointed his face toward me. Oh, God. He turned toward me.
Two-shot Boudreaux and Harold. Tell her, Harold. I'm sorry, Margie. Freeze frame on Margie.
Oh, my God. How could I have not seen this? In front of me stood the man that had stolen my trust, my innocence. I could hardly believe it as I heard my voice saying frantically to Harold, "It was you! It was you!" It was then I saw Harold's real face for the first time, the face that the child within me knew so well. Oh, God, I thought, how can this be? We were just watching Daphne at her worst moment. And now this. That slimy heathen bastard, hidden behind that scrubby beard he wore every Sunday. Harold Wallbanger. He looks nothing like he used to be.
Margie goes into panic mode. We move out to accommodate the entire diner.
Oh, God, I forgot about you. You changed your name. Oh, God, you did that to me.
Margie brings her hands up to her mouth and bites her fingertips, tries to draw blood.
You were the one who lived 3 doors down in my neighborhood. I was playing with your kid, and then you took me away to that room. I remember the room going dark, and then you
What the hell's going on? Why is this guy apologizing to Margie?
he raped me when I was a little girl.
Freeze on Margie. We move to slow motion as.
I felt like my former self ceased to exist. Oh, God, Boudreaux, I said privately. No, I knew that moment it was the main reason my Cajun friend had done what he'd done. He knew my parents had failed. Yes, failed to make me a complete human being. He knew it was why I was never able to trust, why I was never able to fulfill a relationship, for that matter, and why my parents, in order to cover up this atrocity, had lied to me for all those years. Apparently, the old Cajun had known a lot of things I didn't know, or never wanted to admit because I had blacked it out, or had been brainwashed by my parents into believing my molestation had been a bad dream. No, the dream had been real as it seemed, and there was no longer a space in which to hide this horrible fact. My father was gone, and my mother would live with the appalling truth of how they had handled me. I now understood how destroyed my mother must have been, and that she had wanted to say something, had wanted to do something, but never found courage to face my dad. Imagine your own flesh and blood. I think that's why she had tried to tell me when I left for Paris. She knew, and I knew, and we had just left it at that. My father's death explained it all. Now that it was out in the open, I remember standing there thinking about the conversation I'd have to have with my mother. I hardly looked forward to it. I felt my exterior turning to molten steel. The realization hit me. All along, the buck stopped with me. The Boudreaux claim meant nothing, but I did. I mattered. My life meant something, and Boudreaux had made it his responsibility. Like the rest, he wanted to set me free. O- OC, Boudreaux knew, would be dealt with, that he made sure of. A plan concocted by the Cajun would appear in my mailbox 2 days later. Us versus the evil giant. But me, that was a different story. And I remember it like it was yesterday, as I stood there wondering if it would be all right, knowing at that moment what had happened to me when I was 6 had been covered up way too long.
Chris Stevens makes a lunge at Harold. You bastard! Monsieur Stevens, that's well enough. Don't go messing it up for yourself. Margie will have to deal with it on her own terms. We freeze on Margie, man.
Vanishing into thin air sounded like a good idea. Ideally, I wanted to castrate Harold Wildmanger's private parts. I wanted to put them in a blender and make a habanero sauce, then pour the tainted brew down his throat. Here, standing in front of me, was my rapist, a man who had stolen my innocence, and I was going to get him back.
Margie moves toward Harold.
You sick man.
Boudreaux moves in the frame, hands Margie the Colt 45. It's loaded, man. Harold urinates on the spot. Margie points the gun at Harold. Harold leans forward, drooping like a filthy pig. Remorse floods his face. Harold falls to his knees, casting bone to stone. He, however, gets a hold of Margie, presses his forehead to her chest. We hear, "I'm so sorry, Margie. I'm so sorry." Harold sobs and Margie tries to push him away. Harold has a firm grip. This infuriates Margie.
You're sick. Just plain sick.
Colt 45, as Margie moves it tight to Harold's head. Harold welcomes this gesture, closes his eyes. Pull the trigger, Margie. I don't want to live. I don't deserve to. I was such a sick man. I'm still a sick man. Harold weeps while we move in slow motion.
I had never seen an old man weep like this before. I didn't know what to say or what to do, and my first thought, cast in Boudreaux's direction, "Help me." Boudreaux just nodded. What did that mean? No words coming from my mouth. I'm thinking them. I can't say them. I want to say them. I want to kill this man. Blow his brains out, Margie. Pull the trigger. No, shoot that sick bastard. I waited for the next moment. The magician of my conscience came forth, spewing crazed words of fear and rejection, and what I didn't know, except me, saying to everyone in the diner, "Oh my God, I was raped. Oh my God."
Harold Wallbanger's point of view, Dutch angle of Margie staring down at him.
I felt murder in my veins, this insane propensity to kill this man to death, this sick freak looking up at me.
Our camera regains normal speed.
No, I said to this evil voice, I will not.
Looks in the room, anger and sorrow, and what to do and how do we deal with this? Margie slides the barrel over to Harold's ear.
You sick man.
Margie cocks the gun.
No, Marty, don't do it. It's not worth it. You'll be throwing your whole life away. Just think about that restaurant you're going to open. You've worked so hard. I was entranced by this plea, as if it were a drug that made me see the true consequences of my actions if I proceeded to blow this man's brains out.
During Margie's epiphany, Harold managed to get a hold of the weapon. Margie attempts to thwart this rebuttal, but we find her limbs moving with his limbs until the barrel of the gun faces Harold's heart. Margie begins to shake as she hears, "Pull it, Margie. Pull the damn trigger. I don't want to live."
No!
Harold's finger on Margie's finger. We can see that Margie's forcing it back as hard as she can until the Colt 45 fires. Margie stumbles back, looks around in dismay, shocked.
Oh, Jesus. I just shot Harold. It was me. I shot him.
But Harold's still alive, barely. Margie sees this. It registers. She rushes over, grabs Harold by the shirt tails, and pulls him close. Margie's point of view through two slits. We close in on Harold's dying pupils. Blood pools on the floor, soaks Margie. She lifts her hands up for all to see this blood. She hears, "Forgive me, Margie." We move close to Margie's countenance. We see horror. We see a clear epiphany on her face. Breathe on Margie.
I felt all of my Southern compassion coming full force. I don't know why, but this transformation had enticed me to say, "Hold on, you're going to be fine, Harold."
Say it. Tell me. Forgive me.
No, I can't.
Margie,
Don't do this to me.
please.
Don't you dare die. You're going to be fine. I didn't know what I was saying. I struggled with my inner faith that he was on his last breath and I wanted him to live and I wanted him to change, to become something he wasn't, erasing what had happened to me. My mother and my father hiding this terrible fact from me, trying to make me whole again. Boudreaux must have known this too.
Forgive me, Margie.
I forgive you.
Harold dies. Interior of the diner moments later. People start to pick up the pieces. Boudreaux retrieves his grandfather's gun. "You going to a special place now, mon chat. It's time for you to go home." He puts the Colt 45 to his own head. "You are free now, man." Pulls the trigger. We fade to black. Exterior of the Mississippi Sound at dusk. Montage of BP oil cleaning oil in the distance. Boudreaux sneers as he leaves the claims office. The laughs Boudreaux and Margie had at the Waffle House. Boudreaux heading down a road to the pearly gates. All during which we hear,
In that blip of time, from the darkest recesses of my mind, I witnessed the old Cajun, fresh polished and shining like the dew on a honeysuckle blade, heading down a path, his head held high, that loopy grin on his face. Then I saw who I thought was St. Peter. And then my life flashing before my eyes, growing up in the small town, graduating high school, my grandparents' deaths, my father's, making the decision to go to Paris. Yes, the memories flooded back to me. A little girl running around looking for Easter eggs, dressed in white. One big happy family. Always that cross-eyed glance between my mother and my father, forever concealing a terrible secret. I was finally free. It's okay, Mom, Dad, I thought. I'm going to be all right.
exterior of the parking lot at day. Police apprehend Chris Stevens, who's coming out the door with all kinds of explanations. We do hear this as he is being thrown face down on the ground. "You're looking for Boudreaux. I was running the late shift when all this started. He's the guy with the brains blown out all over the place. There's two other guys dead in there too. One's got a tarp over him and the other's just lying out in the open." Interior of the diner. Angle on Boudreaux.
I looked over at the old Cajun. I knew it was the last time I would see my friend.
"Oh, that ain't me, man. I'm in a much better place now." With this, Margie raises her hands high and walks out the front door. We dissolve to the interior of the courtroom at day. Margie and Gabe sit on a bench waiting on the jury. Gabe's burned face is contorted in her direction. He appears to understand what she says.
We close on this two-shot, extreme close on Gabe's face.
That's how I'd like to see it on the big screen.
I think I now understand the agonizing mental pain my father went through. What become of you if you lead life by vice? I just want to thank you, Margie. Miss Margie, you didn't have to do the things you've done for me.
It's nothing you wouldn't have done.
Still,
The jury ought to be in soon, and you know what they say.
Gabe raises his brows over his blind eyes and burnt lips. What's that, Miss Margie?
A good story has two endings, and I don't even know how this one's gonna turn out.
My father was crazy, wasn't he?
Something like that would have been driving anybody crazy. Gabe and his grotesqueness are a constant reminder of that night to all and everyone, including the jury and the public, which has seen him sitting next to me throughout the trial. Mr. Allen's son, I know, will never lead a normal life, but I will see that he's comfortable. You see, for me, it was all about making this young man understand why his father had done what he done, and for Gabe to know that something good would come out of it, like his father wanted. I, like Boudreaux, wanted to give something back.
It's us against them, the sinners versus the evil giant.
That's right.
Several people enter the courtroom. Judge Simpson, the robed, a gentleman, follows closely behind. Lawyers and spectators scramble to find their seats.
Gabe, I have butterflies in my stomach.
What's going on?
Judge Simpson is coming in now.
We move out of the two-shot to accommodate entire courtroom.
At this moment, I think about Boudreaux and everything he stood for, even in death. Everything he had foreseen. Unless something has gone wrong, justice will be served. I don't get my hopes up yet.
Angle on Judge Simpson taking a seat just in microphone. I've been informed that a verdict has been reached. Bring in the jury, please. The door opens and the jury's let in. They are seated in the queue. The somberness that trails them brings heat to the room. Their eyes give away nothing. Two-shot Margie and Gabe.
We made a pact in today that no bitterness would come between us if things headed south at the last minute.
That's all right.
We're ready for this disappointment.
Angle on bailiff taking the paper from the jury foreman. We follow the bailiff handing the paper to Judge Simpson. Judge Simpson looks at it, raises his eyebrows, and takes a deep breath. He thinks for a moment, almost pondering. Then he scratches his head and feels the nape of his neck for perspiration. Hands the note back to the bailiff, who brings it over to the jury foreman. We switch pan back to the judge. You may now read the verdict. Everyone holds their breath. Crunch of fresh paper cutting the room sounds like dripping water and hot oil. Angle on jury foreman. We, the jury, find for the plaintiff and award compensatory damages in the amount of $8 billion. This brings a deep sigh to the collective. Some are relieved, some are not. The foreman's not finished, though. And we, the jury, find for the plaintiff and award punitive damages in the amount of $800 billion. Pandemonium. Judge nearly breaks the gavel on the pulpit. Quiet, quiet, everyone. The room falls silent. All ears listen. Judge Simpson faces all, and his face says it all. Angle on Margie.
A penny for my thoughts. My fraction of the proceedings will set me up for life. Will set Gabe up for life. It's all over. OC doesn't stand a chance. And then there is me and my destiny in all of this. I ended up forming the group that brought the oil company down. I used part of my inheritance as an initial payment to set up the trust which got it all going. That night I saw it differently, and unbeknownst to me then and now was able to unbeknownst to the then and now was able to merge a confounded few. You cannot fight the good in people. To make a long story short, Boudreaux was able to seed and water a chosen few into an unbeatable entity. We were talented, we were tenacious, and we persevered. We brought them down, Boudreaux. Still to this day, I wonder what Boudreaux saw in me. Maybe he saw right through me. Who's to say? Yes, over the course of those 10 weeks, those Sundays, we had sat there face to face, revealing our lives one night at a time. We had learned what it was to be a Cajun, and it meant to say, go to sleep, a phrase whispered by French speaking Cajuns to their children so they can join their parents in the dancing.
They don't know.
Uh, And as Boudreaux would often say, Laissez le bon temps rouler. Yes, to be Cajun, a wonderful thing. The Great Mississippi is another story. She didn't get us that year, but she is still bound to change her main channel. New Orleans, one day, may have to change its way of life, which kind of makes you wonder what they're thinking when they built that great city. Although the land is rich, it is unpredictable, and we may never learn.
We fade to the time cut. The interior of a restaurant in the setting sun, celebration dinner. Margie's stuck in a reverie. Her mother approaches, hands her a CD.
What's that? It's from your Cajun friend. He was only supposed to give it to you if y'all won the case. So there you go. I'm sorry, Mom. No need to apologize, baby doll. Your father was a sick man. He loved you, though. I don't think he ever forgave himself. And as far as Boudreaux goes, I'll tell you this. That man cared about you like a granddaughter. You didn't know he had one, did you? What do you mean? A granddaughter. She was your age. She died in his arms one day. A terrible accident. Well, he never told me. I'm so sorry, baby. He came over to the house one day while you were in New Orleans, checking on some equipment for the restaurant. It was about a week before that crazy night. He told me all about her. Then he handed me that CD. Said there'd be a trial. I really didn't know what he meant. Have you seen the CD? No, I didn't have to.
Interior staircase inside the restaurant. We follow Margie up the stairs to her office. She fondles the CD.
It shines in the light.
Interior of her office. We see Margie firing up her computer.
I suddenly wondered what Boudreaux had and my mother really talked about. Somehow I know she understands more than she lets on. Was there more going on than I realized? Had my mother known about Harold being in town? And for that matter, how much influence had she played on Boudreaux when it came down to how Harold was handled in the end? I guess I'll never know. Yes, there are a lot of questions perhaps better left unsaid.
Margie inserts CD into drive. Windows Media Player appears, and then seconds later, Boudreaux's smiling face. Boudreaux's face enlarges as he moves closer to the camera. Man, pay attention. Otherwise, I got the gris-gris pour vous. Boudreaux appears drunk. Both sets of his yellow teeth gleam. All I can say is that I hope we took care of their asses. Boudreaux fumbles with some papers. It's as if he's searching for something, and he fails to render the situation. The hell with that. He moves his eyeball close to the screen. Ha, you that mean? Thumps the camera. I'm fixing to tell you something. Show me something, mister. Boudreaux laughs a bright, booming laugh. No, you ain't. You ain't no monsieur, man. You's a lady, and one of the best ladies I ever met. No, seriously. Seriously, babe, you gotta pay attention, because my time is running out. Besides, I'm a little jockey tonight. You probably wondering how I did what I did. Wasn't that complicated, to tell you the truth. Sometimes the pieces just fall into place. It all started with Amos Guidry, you see. Started learning things about him. He was the door that led to everything. Bon ring he was. All that stuff he done did. He gonna pay one day. You see, we all gonna answer for the wrongs before it's over. I just hope Amos Guidry helped the case like a one. Anyways, Higginbottom and Sam Fletcher, they had small parts, nothing else. Daphne Rose, me, we gonna see. I talked to her mama though, and she says that Daphne's gonna hate her forever. I just hope y'all gonna give her the sympathy. She had a lot on her plate with losing that child. And I had a little plan for Monsieur Stevens too. Now, that's one hot head, so we gonna see with him too. The thing with Dax Hartley, I knew I wanted to teach him a lesson. Then I saw that Gerald Allen was on his tail, so I followed those two twats myself. I learned that Monsieur Allen was gonna kill Monsieur Hartley for sure, so I hope nothing too bad happened. Dax Hartley, I think he gonna help you if he lives to see the day. Anyways, I think I had a bon plan for the whole night. I guess you know it all now, though. Hope the case paid off. Boudreaux clears his throat and says with earnestness, that brings us to Harold. I suppose you wondering how I made that connection. You see, that time on my hands, man, I knew something weird was going on. Couldn't believe what I learned. Harold was a sex offender in Wyoming. Nobody really knows how he ended up under the radar. Harold had followed you for many years, man. Confronted the man and threatened him with the fear of Jesus if he didn't show up and ask you for your forgiveness. He knew it was coming. He showed me ways. So I honestly think he had the bon intention. Me, I suppose too your mama told you about my grandkid. He was a lot like you, man. Anyways, one day we all gonna meet down on the bayou. I love you, Marchie. See you down on the bayou.
I'll sure miss you too, Boudreaux.
Fade to black. Cut the title 2013 Autumn back to present. The interior of the diner. We are back in the replica of the diner in which the movie takes place. It is the last day of filming. The director has a fresh look about him. Margie stands up by as well. Okay, let's put a little mustard on this scene. Okay, lights, camera, action. Camera rolls. We can hear Lady Gaga in the background singing Dance the Night Away. Song they've chosen for the montage during the credits. Cut. Miss Star, remember, it's after Margie says "Fay do do." Then you start dancing when Gaga comes in with all that hot coffee. You got it? Miss Star nods. Okay, then let's go. 1, 2, 3, action. Blows on Margie, man. It's Miss Star.
I could hardly believe most of us made it out of there alive that night. The people that lost their lives, they taught us a hard-learned lesson, one in particular, he being the key to my salvation.
Cut. It's almost there, but we're going to have to do it one more time. You don't have to stand quite right. You got to put an arm akimbo, Miss Starr. Remember, there's an ironic smile on Margie's face as we fade to the montage with the parents putting the kids to bed. They're kissing the babies goodnight so they can slip off and dance with the parents. Remember, it's the Fay-Do-Do thing, okay?
Is that the piece at the end that signifies Cajun life?
Exactly. You're finally getting it. The end.
Ta-da!
Yeah. Awesome. That was fun. Wow. I can't wait to go listen to it myself. What you think, Janica?
Say what?
Froggy
Yeah, Scully wrote
Tingle.
this. It's from his
Yeah.
book, Laissez,
Laissez
le
les Bon Temps Rouler.
yeah, what he said.
Or in English, let the good times roll. You
I'll
can get
do
a
the
copy of
English.
the book on Amazon.
And if I could get to my links, I'd drop it.
Well, Izzy, you
I'd
did
drop
so
it like it's
good.
hot.
All those
Thank
characters.
you.
Wow.
Thank you. I didn't think so, but thank you.
Heck yeah. That
Heck
was
yeah.
fun. I think it
3
took just
hours.
as long to read the second part as it did the first.
Mhm.
I don't know why.
I was thinking the same thing.
Thank you, Swampy. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming out and hanging out. This is something I wrote many years ago, and I just never really knew how to present it. And then Izzy and I got to talking, and it was perfect, you know. And she's all the overlays were produced by her. Yeah, thank you, DC.
And he helped. That commercial. And I helped.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, it was funny.
Let's see, I got that on full screen. Let me jump.
Yeah, I took down the other.
Oh, you took it down.
And
Okay.
muted it. Yeah, I muted it because we were ending and you just talking, so I didn't want
Yeah. I guess
background
it's
noise.
about a 3-hour production when you listen to it all the way through. It's gonna have good replay value.
And what y'all can do is go to this one and see it all.
I mean, truthfully, it'd be
In
easy to make a
succession.
movie out of this book. It wouldn't require a lot of different, you know, some characters, but like there's just basically one set mostly, you know. But I don't know. I'm not too big into the movies myself, but I just watch YouTube now.
We got to get you out of that. Thanks, guys. Thanks, DC, for being here, and Sunshine, Froggies, Danica, all of my peoples. Thank you guys for being here. And Squatch. I'd love to see it as a movie. Yeah. I think it would be cool.
Caucasian Sasquatch. I saw him come in.
Yeah, got him Squatch. I said Squatch during it.
That's so
Sean,
hard
I
to
think Amos looks
look at
like
the
young
chat
Robert De
when we
Niro.
were narrating.
Yeah, it is. But we got her done.
Sean Gorman, Coffee Artist, Swampy 63, Sable Music Videos, Crossover Paranormal. Hey, buddy. See if I missed anybody else. TWP Popcorn, DC, Rothrods, LLC. Yeah. So yeah, we're kind of getting back into some productions now. Sure what we're gonna do next, but plenty of things on the roster. And y'all make sure you get over and check out Izzy's channel too. Let me drop your link one more time. I think it's still in there. Yeah, there's Izzy Pops. But it's at Izzy Pops, but the channel's called Izzy Pop. So it's one way or the other, it's popping.
Yeah, well, crackling more.
Oh,
More
thank
than
you, Froggy.
pops.
Froggy liked it. Look, Sunshine, thank you for coming out.
They're just biased. They love me. Oh, you're so welcome, DC. I reminded you late, and I'm sorry about that. But I'm glad you made it. I wanted to talk smexy to you
So
while I
did,
was
did
here. How
y'all
about
see what
that?
was coming at the end? Kind of a
No, they
jaw
were saying
dropper.
wow in there. Did you see that?
Margie just never sees it coming, like, and then she recognizes that man at the end was her molester, just
Janica's like, say
horrible,
what?
horrible.
Wow.
It's a lot of good elements to the story, but I did write it, and it took me a while to edit, and I mean, it took me over a year to write it,
Good
so
night, DC. DC's going night night.
tuck it in,
Love you,
tuck
baby.
it in. Yeah, I'm just gonna sit
Night,
here for a
DC.
minute and have a smoke and talk with everybody.
All right, well, I'll leave you alone then.
No, you don't. I don't want you to leave.
It
Just hang
sounded
out
like you
for
said get the
lunch.
hell out to me. No,
You
I'm just
go
playing.
now. You go now. Never come back.
Oh, leave young
I mean,
grasshopper.
who thinks that Izzy did a top-notch job tonight? Man, that's some tough voices. That Violet knee case. Woo,
Oh, God.
wear your voice box out.
Yeah.
I've been back here sipping on water the whole time. I think I
See, nobody
probably.
said anything. I wasn't a hit. Sorry.
You go now.
I thought it was great, Scully. Definitely your calling.
Did you have
I thought
fun?
Loud
Wear you
Hissy,
out?
she was awesome, but you too. Aw.
I saw
3
PD wanted
hours.
to
You
come
go
up.
now.
PD wanted to come read. I was like, we'll figure it out.
Yep.
You were
She
shocked,
just wants
Froggy?
to want me to do the cigarette scene. She likes it when I put that cigarette out and went psst.
Oh, okay. Right.
When it flicked it over in the bathtub when CW was taking a bath in Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh,
I did the sound effect for the gun going off too. Went,
I mean, this story, it wasn't difficult for me in that way because I knew all the characters so well, how their voices were supposed to
thank you,
be.
D
And
Frogs.
sometimes when I read other works, it's a little difficult, but
Good night,
Izzy kept asking
Coffee.
me, like, how do I read this person? How do I read that person? And I was like, just
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to feel comfortable with. So,
D Froggies, what was you shocked about? The story?
well, if you remember, when you read books with the plot construction, the hero has to happen to the hero. That's the main character. So, but you get thrown off by all the court of detainees with the seven deadly
Right.
sins, and it's. I had a
Nice.
Cajun lawyer help me edit this book. Somebody that knows Cajun French, and all of the
You were
French is
excellent.
spot on in the novel and in the screenplay. Now, my
I
pronunciation of it.
yeah.
I mean, I know a little bit of French, and I know people from Louisiana how they talk, so I kind of mixed it together and just did the best I
Mm-hmm.
could with Boudreaux.
That's great.
Um, you'll find different accents down in South Louisiana anyway.
Now she says the end. She was behind. Froggies was.
Oh, for real? Froggy, I've done it so many times. They'd be like, why aren't they saying nothing to me?
Oh, no. It worked. Oh, good. I'm glad it
Well,
did.
well, look at all those green shirts out there.
I
Damn.
see that.
I think we
DC's
got
got to get in green.
I think we got like 3 away from 100 members now. That's really awesome.
Awesome. Well, the
Um,
last one that was up was a re-up, so
Izzy's
does
favorite
that
color is
count?
green anyway. So
Yeah, favorite color's green.
I wish DC could have got a membership. That would have been cool.
If my
I don't
name was
know how they
Crystal,
gift them out. You don't even have to be here to win one.
if my name was Crystal, my favorite color would be clear.
Tell everybody how that works, Izzy, with the gifts.
With
Like you don't have to
it's
be here.
random.
If
No,
you're a
because
subscriber to the channel, you get an email or something if you're not here.
yeah, email pops up. He doesn't get the gifted membership because he's a brand channel. What they say
Yeah.
so. Any shade of
They
green.
let the people in the chat win them before the people that aren't here. I just don't get that part of it.
I don't either.
It's just
So
it takes the fun away.
Scully, good night, sunshine. I love you too, babe.
Sunshine.
Go, Scully. Do you have the YouTube box up?
What box?
The chat box.
Well, I'm
Still,
on my phone and my computer. What do you mean?
the YouTube chat box.
Uh huh.
Okay, the $sign. When you click on it, it doesn't give you the free gifts anymore or at all.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Because I got somebody to click that $sign on theirs because
Yeah.
they never had the pop out chat with it. They just use StreamYard and they went to
I
YouTube
don't know
and
why
popped it
some
out.
people get like, don't you get like 10 a month they let you give out?
Yeah.
See, I never get it. I don't know. Ilska. What's up, buddy? Brewskis.
Who you talking to?
The Phil Leo. Rothrod.
Who?
Let me get Phil Leo.
Oh, you're way behind.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, Rothrods, I'm gonna go put you in watch later and subscribe to you. See what you got going on.
Oh.
I don't think I'm far behind.
No,
Huh.
I just
Sometimes I'm in because I got to refresh my phone chat. I don't know why it does that.
yeah, because I mean you're way back there. Yeah.
Well, I guess
All
we can
right.
play an intro. It's 10 minutes after 10,
Outro.
my favorite number. Outro. Yeah.
Yes.
So let's hit it.
All right.
Let Izzy
Let's
take
hit it.
care of that. Thank you, everybody.
Good
Good night.
night, everybody. Tingle Green.